I cannot wait. Okay, wait, there we go. Sound is working. Okay. I cannot believe I've been able to do the show every single day for 30 days in a row. Longer than that, because I was still streaming every day before that. It's incredible. This is a political debate live. People on TikTok call in and we discuss politics. Gets pretty unhinged sometimes. Sometimes it's not so unhinged, and we have some good faith conversations. And there's kind of a mix. We'll see how quickly we get a caller today. I think the big piece of news today is that Trump's lawsuit against the IRS for $10 billion, he's backing out of it, which is good. But I was thinking about that, so I wanted to talk about Trump being a crook. So that's the prompt today. The prompt almost never is the topic of discussion. This is mostly just here to get people to stop scrolling on the For You page and want to call in. Brightside says, good morning. Good morning, Brightside. It is good morning. Hello, Derek. Good to see you up so early. Cash, Loretta, Elijah, Babs, Let the Wookie in. Got some regular viewers and some new viewers. Hello, everybody. And I see the likes rolling in. And the likes are good because as much as I have a big enough following that the show always does pretty good in terms of viewership, it is very, very nice to get some new viewers in here so we get some new callers. Speaking of which, I should open up the multi-guest queue so I can have that ready. There we go. All right. Thank you for the heart me, Dan. Appreciate you. Let the Wookiee in also says good morning, and a default username says W Oscar. I haven't even done anything yet. I'm just saying hello to everybody. YouTube's going great. I'm like monetized on there, by the way, now. So sorry for all the ads if you're watching this on YouTube, but I got bills to pay. So it's capitalism. We gotta eat. Millennial Pause says W Oscar. What, are we just doing W's today to before it even? Guys, you gotta chill out. I don't win until after a caller comes in. So let's get double tapping away on the screen so we can get some more viewers in here and get. Well, actually, the W's in the chat do help because the engagement helps push the live stream out and get somebody in here a little bit faster. Is there news other than that today? What's today? Monday? Yeah, I should be looking at I haven't looked at the market or anything today yet. I know the stock market is ripping, which is just one of those frustrating things about like. I literally have poor people call into my show and be like, dude, the stock market's doing great. And I'm like, right, that reflects how well the rich people are doing. They are doing great. That is the whole problem. It is not a gotcha that the stock market is doing well. Like that's kind of the fact that the stock market is breaking records while every other economic indicator that there is demonstrating that life is hard for everyday people. That's like a demonstration of the point. That's like that shows the problem. So Jackson also says good morning. Lulu agrees that he's a crook. Millennial Pause loves the flag. Yeah, I like the flag too. Lyra says, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Lyra. Cash says, yes, the Epstein class stays winning is what I say. Yeah, I just am not impressed. I mean, Bam Bondi was awfully impressed that the Dow was just doing so good, but it's just like, why are we bringing that up in a conversation about the Epstein files? This dude wants a third world country. Remix, please hit the request button. It's this little like pink and blue pair of heads down here at the bottom near the comment section. If you want to click on that, you can come have a conversation with me about that. I don't think I do want a third world country. In fact, I think that America has some really good lessons to learn from the other developed countries because we're really lacking in some ways compared to countries that have similar wealth to us. But anyway, Jeffrey thinks I'm anti-American. Again, yeah, I mean, people could call in and talk to me about these things, but I think that it just makes them feel better to like put their nonsense in the chat and then be on their way. They don't actually want to try to back any of these things up. Jackson says, yeah, that's just an indicator, but you have to pay the rich to live, aka buying shares, stocks. Yeah, something like that, right? Like inflation going up makes the stock market go up, which is like one of those funny, obvious things when you think about it. Like if the value of the dollar goes down, of course, the stock market, which measures things in dollars, is like the numbers are going to get bigger, but that's not good necessarily. Obviously, inflation doesn't explain all of the increases in the S&P 500, but the AI bubble does. That's for sure. The AI bubble explains almost all of the explosive behavior of the stock market right now. We're gonna talk to Dylan, and I gotta hover my finger on the disconnect button because the first caller is usually a child who wants to scream the N-word. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay, what year were you born in?
2008, 04, 03, 2008.
Okay, I'm going to believe you for now, but I will ask qualifying questions to prove you're an adult if I begin to doubt that. Are you a Trump supporter?
I am.
Why is that?
I like I can't remember the number of the policy. I think it's like something 412. I think it's keeping trans men out of women's sports and his abortion.
Okay.
Abortion.
Which would you like to discuss? I think those are pretty different issues.
Whichever one you want to discuss first. It doesn't really matter to me.
Let's start with abortion, just because I talk about trans stuff more on this show than abortion, so I'm just going to give the airtime to something that's a little bit more novel, and we can get to trans rights if you want to later. Okay, I'm happy to let you make your case for abortion. Tell me what you think about abortion.
Okay. So I think it's murder, but there's 3 things and 3 cases I don't, which is medical, rape, or yeah, it's actually, I think it's just medical or rape.
Okay. You can say rape on my show, by the way, just so you know. Appreciate you looking out for the flags, though. That shows me that you're not trying to get me banned right away. Okay, so yes, I want to talk about those 2 things because there's something interesting about the way that you consider this to be murder, and I could understand that when it's medically necessary, like if the baby's not going to make it anyway, we may as well save the mother. That makes in just a trolley problem ethical sort of sense, that makes perfect sense to me. But if you think it's murder, I actually think that it's probably not morally acceptable for you to think it's okay in the case where there's rapes, because that would be 2 wrongs making some kind of right. Now, I do think that women who are raped should be able to get abortions. That's my position, but that's because I don't think that abortion is murder. I think it's a contradiction that you think that abortion is murder, but you think it's okay to murder a baby because their father was a rapist.
So I guess you're right about that. I mean, I'm still gonna sit here and say it's either way. It's gonna. There's 2 wrongs, like you said. I mean, obviously, a woman getting raped is obviously wrong, but I still think, actually, that's the only thing. I think if it's due to rape or medical, I agree. I mean, I don't strongly agree with it, but I mean, I agree in those cases. But other than that, I still think you should have that child just to see what that child can grow into. It can grow into oh my God, it can grow into a successful human being and just have, just life in general. You're taking away a potential life that could be successful.
Okay, so how do you square it? Because you agree that it's a little inconsistent for you to think that murder, what you think is murder, is okay in a situation where I don't think that any of the contributing factors add up to it being okay to commit a murder. I think a woman should be able to abort a baby whether or not she was raped. That's my position, like I stated. But I'm just trying to understand your position and its consistency. So if you think that it's murder, if you think I'm right that it doesn't square with the fact that you would allow it in a situation where the woman was raped, then how do you square it? How do you defend that position that you hold? Because it's apparently the reason the most important reason for you to support the president, that and trans sports, which we might get to in a moment. But I just want to stick on this a little bit longer. I don't quite get it.
I mean, okay, so I'll break it down for you. I'll give you my whole thinking about it. Mm-hmm. If it has potential life, then why would you go on and so forth, kill the baby that has potential to grow up and be successful, potential just to do any kinds of good things in life, be the best person you've ever seen, a model citizen, so on and so forth. But yeah, I guess, I mean, that's why I still I think it's murder in that case.
Well, they could also grow up to be the next Hitler, so I'm not really particularly interested in the fact that they might have turned out to be a good person. They could also turn out to have been a bad person. It's just that they were going to. The only thing that's important is that they were going to turn out to be a person. And if you think that after conception is a little too late, do you think that people just, because it's so good to make sure that these potential people exist, do you think that people should just be maximizing the number of children they have because every potentially lost matched sperm and egg pair that could have been a potential person is some tragic thing that's lost? What's so special about the moment of conception?
I'm going to be honest, I couldn't really tell you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the moment of conception is where the sperm and the egg come together. So, like, the person that was going to be, I would argue, like, that is an important moment in being like, we now know the combination of genetics that we're going to be. We know from identical twins that turns out to be what you're going to, like, look like and what a lot of your characteristics are going to be. Like, all of your nature is figured out at the moment of conception, and everything from there on is nurture. So that is an important moment. But what happens? Like, is there something magical that happens there the moment the sperm and the egg come together? Because before that, there were millions and potentially billions of possible combinations of sperms and egg that could have met up during the act of intercourse, during that moment of conception, that didn't. So do we mourn them?
I guess not.
I don't personally. And I don't mourn the baby or the fetus, like, later on, until there's a very important thing that does happen that makes me care about the baby and not want it to be unalived, and where I suddenly do consider it murder. And what that is that I think that, like, all of my rules for ethics are based on suffering. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any, like, any of that stuff. So I just really care about where there is suffering in the world. So until a fetus develops to the point where the brain in the fetus is capable of experiencing suffering, then I just don't really care. I just don't really value ethically what happens to something that can't think or experience pain. We don't know exactly when that time starts, but we do know that we don't allow abortions long before that, because there's a big window of the pregnancy where it's very obvious that there's not neurological activity happening. In the same way that the doctors can tell us that somebody who's been, like, has brain damage is brain dead and they'll never wake up, and we know from scanning their brain that they're just, like, not there, we are allowed to unplug those people because they're gone. They're a person that can experience suffering and be sad about what's happening to them. They're already dead, so we just unplug them because there's no reason to keep the bed warm, and keep the hospital room busy. It's up to the family, of course. We let them make the decision because it affects them, affects how they feel about it. So we let them choose. So it's all suffering based for me. So nothing special happens at conception for there to be suffering for the unborn child.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I think you kind of changed my point of view on the way I'm thinking. I'll be honest about that.
I really appreciate you being honest about that. Most people, when I think I've made a good point and it's gotten in their head, they kind of attack me. So I think it's really brave of you to just come out and say that. I appreciate that a lot.
I think you made definitely a great point, and it's something that I will take into, like, as knowledge, and just be more mindful about that situation. So I appreciate you sharing that information with me.
Well, yeah, and I would implore you to look at things like that generally, like that rule about suffering. That's how I do literally everything. Literally every political belief I have is based on how it will affect outcomes for things that can experience things,
Right.
It's not violent to smash a rock with a hammer because a rock doesn't have a brain. Trees? Trees, I don't think trees experience things. The reason that we shouldn't cut down the forests isn't because the forests are going to feel bad about it. It's because creatures that do have brains, including humans, but also including other animals, suffer because of that sort of damage to the environment. So we have to be careful about the trees that we cut down. But I'm not trying to protect the trees because I'm a tree hugger. I don't care what happens to the trees. Because nothing happens to the trees in a phenomenological sense. That's a big word, but that's the way philosophers talk about it. We have phenomenology. We experience what's happening to us. Trees don't. I don't think, anyway. There's no good evidence that they do. I'll say it again. I really, really appreciate you just being open about the fact that you hadn't looked at it in the way that I talked about it. It shows me you're not going to be terribly defensive. Do you want to talk about trans issues? That was the other one.
I mean, yeah, we can.
Okay. I'll do the same thing. Why do you feel that's so important an issue?
So I'll give you, like, a real life example. So I have a little sister, right? She plays on a high school volleyball team. There is a person that once was a man that is claiming to be a woman just to play on this volleyball team. I wouldn't say just to play on the volleyball team, but considering himself a woman so he can play on the team. I just don't feel I don't feel comfortable knowing that, like, he's going into, like, locker rooms and changing with the team. Like, there's, like, steps that the team can, like the coach can make, like, they can give them their own space, which hasn't happened. And I just don't feel comfortable with my little sister being around I mean, I'm still going to call him a man because that's what he was born as.
Yeah, we'll get into that in for a moment. The chat's already very upset that you're misgendering, that you're not referring to them as she instead of he. We'll get into that, but
Okay,
I'm actually, it's okay. That one, I'll start with that. I'll say whether or not you think it's right, it's offensive, and I just don't think I don't think that I don't think that a person's want to say what they think is the correct one, he or she, is more important than the person's feelings, because it is just words. So like, you have the First Amendment right to refer to anybody however you want, but it is just kind of mean. Like the fact that they don't like it to the degree that they do should be enough. But
and I apologize for that. That's
okay. I appreciate that. But I'll take it back to the beginning, which is that I want to start by saying that I kind of recognize in the case of trans people in sports that there is a real concern here, because it's not necessarily like biologically nonsense to suggest that a person who has a Y chromosome is going to be a problem on a sports team, especially in light of the fact that we already do segregate the sports by gender. For reasons that are pretty obvious to anybody. I don't think we need to get into that. No. But the thing that makes it different for me is that I want to segregate the sports by gender identity instead of chromosomal sex. Those are two different things that mostly overlap. I have a Y chromosome. I think you have a Y chromosome. I identify as a man. I think you identify as a man. So it matched up for us. It doesn't match up for everybody. And it's just the people for whom it doesn't match up that we have to wonder about what's the best way to determine who's on which team, the boys team or the girls team. Is it the chromosome or is it their gender identity? So what I have for you are arguments that I think that a better outcome as measured by suffering, as measured by fairness, the things that we decided earlier in the call are at least important to me. You can speak for yourself. I have some arguments to suggest that I think gender would just be a better way to sort it out. With all that said, I just got to check. Are you I'm just trying to make sure that I understand exactly how we disagree. Do you think I'm on, have I given a fair description of kind of the playing field in this conversation?
Yeah. I would say yes.
Okay. So the reason that I think that gender identity is a better metric to go by is because, first of all, just because a person has a biological advantage of some kind in a sport doesn't mean that they don't belong on the team. The example I tend to use is you could propose it would be an advantage on a volleyball team for somebody to be like 7 foot tall, right?
Correct.
There are women that tall. They're quite rare. About as rare as trans people, as it turns out. Maybe rarer in the case of somebody that tall. But 6'6" is still anomalously tall
I understand that. My little sister's 6'1". She's taller than me.
There you go. She's probably crushing it on that volleyball team. And the shorter players on that team might be more mad about your sister being on the team than the trans girl. You realize that, right?
Well, I see that in some cases, but so my sister's a captain. I mean, the ladies come over here and they have like slumber parties, just doing girl things. They're all very happy about it. And I've heard some of them even talk about that, how they don't like this girl being on the team just because they still think that it's wrong. And I mean, I agree with them.
Just to get back to my question, because I don't want it to get lost. Girls might chatter at the slumber party about the big, tall, strong girl who's kicking all their asses, and that might be the gossip for them. So for me, what I'm really trying to zoom in on is the fact that they're upset about her being trans is very similar to them potentially being upset about somebody being too tall or too strong or too experienced or whatever else might have to do with why a person's better at a sport on a team. Now, I mean, do you see that kind of parallel?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right. So then the next place for me to go is to point out that, as it turns out, as a matter of fact, in almost every case, and we have to make judgments about policy based on the average case, because we can't, just kick everybody. If we wanted sports to be fair, we couldn't play them because they're inherently unfair for the ways that I've described regarding gender. And, everybody gets dealt the hand they're dealt. You get the body you get, and that body might have an obscene advantage at volleyball for some reason. So in addition to the fact that it's not unique to the issue of somebody being trans or not trans, whether they're going to have a disadvantage or an advantage, as it turns out, as a matter of fact, trans athletes don't actually have as much of an advantage. Somebody who's tall really does in a sport like volleyball or swimming or basketball or something like that. Tall people really do succeed. But if you just look at the data involving the trans women who have been allowed to play, they don't necessarily outperform their teammates for a reason that might just have to do with how you're educated about how trans people get gender affirming care, which is that we don't give surgeries to people who are that young. People, we don't like change the genitals of people who are underage. I don't know of any cases of that happening, but we do offer gender affirming care in the form of drugs. TikTok's very squirrely about that word being said, so I have to spell it. But we give these people medications that change their hormones in a way that either delays their puberty so they can make a decision later about how they want to treat their gender dysphoria, or potentially makes it so that they go through a puberty that's more aligned with what their identified gender is, as opposed to their chromosomal sex. And the important thing is that when we do that to somebody, it takes away that biological advantage, because a trans girl who's on the correct hormones for what her gender identity is going to be greatly disadvantaged in the way that you would expect a biological male to be advantaged on the team. Does that all make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Right. So it's a touchy issue. It's uncomfortable. Right. It's shitty, but especially I have a slightly more aggressive tone about this when we're talking about K-12, like high school, public school. For me, the person I'm most concerned about in this story, is not your sister. It's the trans girl. She should get to play sports in school, right? If we were talking about doing professional sports, that gets even more hairy. But the whole unfairness of all that is just also all of the unfairness is multiplied because there's money and careers involved. But I just don't think that a trans girl, who, by the way, is disproportionately going to be struggling with mental health issues and bullying and all these other issues, why do we have to add to the list that she doesn't get to play on the team?
Well, I'm not saying that she can't play on the team. There's men and women's volleyball at the school that my sister attends, and the school I used to attend. I just graduated, but that's besides the point. But it's the fact. I don't really know. I guess there is no fact. She could go play on the men's team, because again, that's what she was born with. I'm not saying that it's wrong to change your gender. It's your
men grow more muscle mass. There's certain things about men biologically that are true, and that's why we divide the genders. But that trans girl would be greatly disadvantaged if she were to play on the men's team, because she might be on medications that take away that advantage. So it'd be a lot more for her, like she was a woman playing on the team. Which again, there's something that's missed here, and this is why I specifically bring this up a lot when it comes to K-12 education. We're talking about somebody's public school experience. Think about what her life is like. She was born in the wrong body, and she doesn't like what she sees when she looks down, and she's working on addressing that. You're talking about her, you're talking about slumber parties and getting up to activities with the girls. Those are things that people enjoy in their youth, in their childhood, that are important to developing and being a part of the peer group. And those things are really, really, really hard for people who are trans, because they don't fit perfectly in either bubble, so it might be difficult. Are you supposed to be one of the bros, or are you supposed to be one of the girls? And any person, even a non-trans person, can decide to be the opposite. There can be a cis girl, a born, a biologically female girl that happens to be a tomboy and likes hanging out with the bros. People should just be able to have the social life they want, and it makes an already difficult life harder for a trans student, a trans minor, if we're going to say we're going to draw this red line in the sand and say that you can't participate in this thing that would help you with this thing that you're struggling with, this issue of identity, when, like I just said, the data would suggest that there just isn't a significant advantage that needs to be corrected. If you're so concerned about biological advantage, then there should be a height limit. You shouldn't be able to play on the girls' volleyball team if you're over 6 foot, and that would cut your sister out of the team, right?
Correct.
Because that's, if you're going to use the same reasoning that you use for trans girls, unless you can explain to me why the reasoning applies to trans girls but doesn't apply to tall girls, unless you can explain that difference for me, then I would say then we need to also have a height cutoff if we're going to have a chromosome cutoff.
Right. I don't think I can explain it, so I'm just going to concede to that point and be honest with you again, because I'm a very honest person. I think you've changed my way of thinking about this too.
I gotta say it again, man. I appreciate the honesty. Most people get very, very mad at me when that happens, and then it kind of ruins the phone call. So,
yeah. I'm not. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I don't think a lot of times it's because there's something far more hateful going on. There's something that, if you're grossed out by trans people, I'm not going to judge you for that, because humans are xenophobic by default. We don't like things that are unusual and different, even if those things are people. And we struggle with that as a society. And there are ways to correct that. There are ways to get better about that in society that I, as a person who has a lot of education experience, I'm aware of. We can do these sorts of things in the schools to make people not grow up to be so hateful. But that takes time. That takes like decades of like changing the societal zeitgeist to like have that effect in society. But somebody like yourself who maybe feels a certain way about it, it sounds to me like you're just capable of recognizing that your feelings aren't in alignment with what's reasonable, and we got to just make policies in a way that's reasonable and not based on our feelings.
Correct. Yeah, I get that, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be more open-minded to about those subjects and other stuff like that. But can I ask you another question real quick if you have time?
Of course. Hey, this is a great call. You can ask me whatever you want.
So what would you say the main reason you don't support Trump is?
He doesn't obey the Constitution. And I think that's really fundamental to what the president's job is. I could, any of these topics that I talk about, like, I don't like Trump's policy. I was really upset in his first term that my side didn't win, but I felt like the government was working. A lot of the things that he wanted to do that I didn't want him to do, he couldn't do because they were illegal for him to do. And like the government, like the checks and balances were working. So I'm not going to sit here and be butthurt that I lost an election. I can put up with a president I don't like for 4 years. What I can't tolerate, what I refuse to tolerate, what I run this whole show about is the fact that the president isn't following the rules of the game we're playing in a way that is very, very dangerous to American democracy. The whole country is based on the fact that the president can't do whatever they want, and we have a president who thinks he can, which is why he makes executive orders to change the Constitution or disobeys the orders of judges or tries to sue the IRS for $10 billion because he's a crook, even though he's backing out of that lawsuit as of today, which is why the prompt was on my mind. But without even mentioning any particular policy, we can't even discuss any of it until we just establish the president has to follow the Constitution. It's what he swears his oath to.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here because I do have to go to work. I'm going to let you bring somebody else up. But I very appreciate you taking the time and speaking about those things and kind of opening up my mind about those subjects.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. And get to work. We all got a slave, right?
Yes, sir.
Get after it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Dylan. Well, yeah, W's for everybody on that call, right? Like, oh man, that's that one's good. That one's gonna do well on YouTube because this episode's gonna do well on YouTube because the first call was so successful. So I'm excited about that. What a thumbnail I'll get to write about that call. We're gonna talk to Not Kevin after I tell you guys to go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. And if you have money to spare, send it to me on Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, because those are the places that I currently have available to support me if you want me to be able to quit my day job and do this show full time, because I'm getting there, but it's cooking along. But if you want more W's, Oscar's got to pay his bills. Anyway, we're going to talk to Not Kevin. And Not Kevin's going to tell us how old he is. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19. Do you support Trump?
Not right now.
Okay. I mean, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Do you want to tell us your reason quick before I let you go? Because I'm looking for a debate.
Oh, no, I debate you, but the reason, bro, I think Trump just got, I don't know, bro. First term Trump, second term Trump is not the same Trump is not the same person. I think he got cloned. I think he got, I don't know, he might, that Alzheimer's.
You're going to get a misinformation flag talking about cloned politicians, dude. Like, it's, I mean, is this a serious call? Like, is this a troll? Like, why are you wasting my time with this?
But what is wrong with you? You got a twat between your legs, bro? Why are you acting like that, bro?
What is the obsession with our genitalia?
Bro, I'm just asking why you got to act like that. You got a fucking tampon in or some shit, bro? Why you acting like that, bro?
Acting like what?
You said, are you going to have a real conversation up here, or are you wasting my time? Why are you wasting my time?
Yeah, you're telling me that you think that Trump was cloned? I just don't take it all.
Bro, I'm obviously joking, bro. I'm just saying from his first term.
Okay, so if you're obviously joking, then you are wasting my time. Is there something you want to discuss about this that isn't a waste of my time?
Yeah, why the hell your glasses look like that? Why the hell your glasses sit on your face like that, bro?
Like they're getting bumped by the headphones, like they don't sit perfectly straight. What is this, dude? What do you care about? What's important to you?
Shit, my money.
I mean, based on this call, it sounds to me like my genitals and my glasses are important to you. Are you attracted to me?
Nah, it's just like second term Trump. He just my money went down with him. Started, I have to spend more money, and I make the same money.
He is really damaging cost of living. So I mean, I guess you're not supporting him for not following his campaign promises. Yeah, I mean, I let that caller go. Selfish, right? Like there's no principled reason why he's mad at Trump. He's just mad that it's not going well for him personally right now, which is just not how we make good policy. We're going to talk to Christian Colunga. I think I've talked to Christian Colunga before, but not in a while. How old are you?
26.
Okay, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay, why?
I mean, the Iran thing is a little my least favorite thing he's done so far. But I mean, as far as everything else, he's put America first. How is he selfish, and how is he making America non-affordable?
Well, you mentioned that you're not happy about the war in Iran, and in just like a local news cycle like this last couple months since, Iran is really the thing that's going to be driving up inflation in this country, which is going to really badly affect cost of living because of what it's doing to global fuel prices. But also just about every economic policy that he's put in place since he became president the second time.
Like what?
The tariffs.
Okay, how has that negatively affected you as a consumer?
When you tariff a good,
no. Like goods that you're purchasing, how is that affected?
Sometimes I go to Home Depot and I buy lumber, and it's more expensive because he tariffed.
What do you do buying lumber?
Stop cutting me off while I'm answering your question. It doesn't make a good listening experience for people. I'm going to answer your questions. I'm fine with you interviewing me, but it makes people not like you, first of all, and you do want people to hear you, right? You came up here to be platformed. He muted himself, I think, for background noise. But I'll answer your question, which is that it doesn't fucking matter what I'm buying the lumber for. I'm buying the lumber to kit out my work van so I can camp in it. He has to get removed for some reason. I don't even know why. Yeah. I don't know. That one was on TikTok. But, yeah, I mean, you can't come back in. TikTok asked me to remove you. You can try again on another day. He jumped right back in the queue. But I genuinely don't know what you said that flagged TikTok's auto moderation system that time. Even though you were being kind of mean, but that's not necessarily against the rules. UCME, I see you there, but I'm going to see if you're a regular caller, so I'm gonna skip you for now. But hang out in the queue if you want to get some time later. Just going to give priority to the people that are new. But yeah, that felt like it could have been an interesting call. I wanted to answer that guy's questions, but I don't know. L TikTok on that one. We love the TikTok shop. We love the TikTok shop.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Chilling. How old are you?
I'm 18.
I'm going to choose to believe you, but I will start questioning you on are you an adult type questions if I think you are a child. You support Trump?
So I'm actually not here to talk about Trump. I heard you talking about trans and things like that. I want to actually talk about that.
All right.
All right. So can we both agree that you're either born as a male or female?
Usually there are a couple of very rare exceptions to that don't really have anything to do with the trans debate. But yeah, I think biologically for the most part we'd agree on that.
Yeah. Okay. And can you change that?
Not your chromosomal sex, no.
Okay, so then that would mean that you can't change into a man or woman, correct?
You and I define man or woman differently. You define it based only on chromosomal sex. So according to the definitions that I am assuming you use, then no, you couldn't change that. But I don't think that that's meaningful because it ignores the thing that I do care about for labeling a person a man or a woman, which I would be happy to discuss.
Yeah, you can explain.
Well, I mean, did you hear the entire first call or did you just get the end of it?
No, I just got the end of it.
Okay, so what I explained to that caller is essentially, I was talking about within the context of sports, that for the way we look at the men's team and the women's team or the boys' team and the girls' team, the thing that we should look at isn't chromosomal sex, it's gender identity, because gender identity better reflects the unfairness that we're trying to correct by segregating the teams. So I just think it's, for all the reasons that you think that trans women don't belong on the women's team, I think they do. And I'd be happy to go into those.
Okay, yeah. Can you go into that?
Let's hypothetically talk about Becky. I'm going to make up a trans girl named Becky. She's 16. She's been on some kind of hormone replacement therapy, puberty blockers for a while, and they've got her on some HRT or something like that. So she didn't go through male puberty. She never grew up, she's not growing a mustache. Her package, let's say, never got much bigger. Those biological changes didn't happen to her. The part of male puberty where her muscles got bigger, that also didn't happen. And a lot of the changes that come with a normal female person, like a person with a gender identity that matches their sex, a lot of those things did happen to her because we put her on medications that made those things happen to her. What I'm arguing is that it would be really unfair to her to put her on the men's team where she would get her ass kicked for the reasons that you are concerned about her doing to the other teammates if we put her on the girls' team. And what I am saying is that the data suggests that such a person does not have that advantage when we put them on the girls' team for the reasons I just described. So the fair thing to do, it creates a more fair system if we go by gender identity instead of by chromosomal sex.
Yes, but this would be their fault for choosing to do those things, and it's not our fault to put her or him on that team because they wanted to go out and do those things with their own free will.
When you say that it's her fault, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, she or he chose to go and do those things.
Do you? Well, it sounds to me like you don't admit, you don't think that being trans is a real thing at all, like a real situation that they're dealing with. You think it's made up, some kind of choice.
Yes, I do think it is a choice, 100%.
All right, I'm going to have you continue the conversation with my co-hosts, Raven, who is a trans woman.
Okay.
How you doing,
What's
Raven?
up?
So, why would you think it's somebody's fault for being trans? Let's talk about that. Let's unpack that.
So like he said, they choose to, the puberty blockers and things like that. That would be their fault for going and choosing those things. No one's forcing them to choose that.
So let's talk about the word fault here. We need to unpack that. It's a choice. It's not someone's fault.
Well, yeah, it would be their fault for having that choice.
I don't think you're understanding how intellectually dishonest you're being with the choice of the word fault.
Right or wrong, she or he has a choice to either do it or not. And if he or she does it, then it would be their fault.
In this situation, you've known that this trans girl identifies as she, and you keep saying he or she. You're coming to this
biologically he,
extremely intellectually
she.
dishonest.
Yeah, but it's still just mean what you're doing. Like, I don't care. We're sitting here arguing about the definitions, but it is just mean on purpose using the wrong word. Do you want me to call you she for the duration of the conversation just so it's fair?
Well, no, I don't identify as a she, neither born.
I identify you as a she because I'm going to clap back and say that if you're not going to respect the gender,
well, no, you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't be able to identify me. I can only identify myself, so that wouldn't work.
That's also true of the trans girl.
Do you not realize how stupid you sound when you say that as you're telling somebody else how they identify?
Well, no, because they are biologically a man, mentally a girl.
But in this situation, we've already discussed that she identifies as she, and you're adding in he because you're an asshole.
Yeah, because it's a he and a she, correct? Mentally a girl,
No, because we've already identified that she wants to be identified as she.
Yeah, well, I'm giving her or him both pronouns.
Right, but she doesn't identify or use he, him, so you're just being an asshole.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it to you until you stop. So we have.
Yeah, let's not do that, Oskar.
Fine, okay.
So,
but he doesn't like it, and I think that's the point.
Right, it's because he understands that it's an insult, and he is using it as an insult intentionally and trying to be a little shit about it.
Yeah, it's mean. He knows it's mean, and it is intellectually dishonest. But let's get back to this fault thing. I think that's the important thing here.
Yeah. So, a trans person, doctors all across America have decided that a trans person who identifies as a woman does mentally identify as a woman, and so they have determined that the best course of action to correct this imbalance is to change the outside features to match what the mental image has created. And so therefore, it would go to show that we are inherently our mental identity and not our physical identity, because we have this connection to our mental identities. And so the point of being trans is we're making the outside look more like the inside, and we're correcting this fault that happened at birth. And so it's no one's fault that we were born this way. So putting it that way is extremely just dishonest.
Okay, I like how you said mentally, because at least you're acknowledging it's not their real gender.
Yeah, no trans person thinks that they're the opposite gender. That's so stupid. And you thinking that just goes to show how little interaction you've had with trans people.
I think you misspoke. You meant the opposite sex, yeah?
Yeah. Opposite sex.
Same thing.
Literally, no, we're sitting here arguing that it's not the same thing. So you just going like same thing, trust me, bro, is just not constructive to the conversation. Like you're crossing your arms and saying it's the same thing. We're sitting here and telling you that all the doctors disagree with you. Is that the whole conversation? Are we done?
Wait, you said, okay, I heard Raven say that they're trying to make the outside more like the inside, but on the inside, trans woman would be a man. So you can't, if you're making the outside more like an inside.
Like neurological...
If we're talking about neurophysiology, if we're talking about brain structures, there's good evidence that suggests that trans women do have a neurophysiology that's distinct from cis women and trans men, and men. Like it's a different category altogether in terms of how it shows up on the fMRI data. So the doctors understand this stuff. They have really specific operational definitions of what the inside stuff and what the outside stuff is that me and Raven have something of a background understanding on. And you're just kind of saying that it's made up or that you feel this way about it. But like, is it meaningful to you to learn that trans women who are biologically males have brain structures that are different than biological males that identify as men? There is like you can scan their brain and be like, oh yeah, on average, statistically, there are these things that are a little different that put them closer to female anatomy.
I mean, no, I don't really care for that. That doesn't.
So you just deny reality to withhold your.
There's no correlation there. It's not relevant to the.
I'm telling you that the correlation is
Why
there.
do you think it's not relevant?
Because what you're saying isn't relevant to what we were talking about. We were talking about faults.
But how is it not relevant? It's the entire trans discussion.
If we're gonna simplify
you keep saying
trans
that men are
issues,
physiology, whatever the fucking word is, the same as you say men are the same as trans women, but we're telling you that they're not. So this puts a whole hole right in your whole argument, but you are refusing to acknowledge science.
To wrap it up in maybe a way that's like easier for you to swallow, it's like if we're going to simplify the trans argument to say that these are people who have the wrong, have a brain that's in the wrong body. Their brain is one gender and their body's another. All I'm suggesting is that literally the MRI data on trans people actually suggests that something like that is going on.
Okay.
That it's a real problem and that they didn't choose to be that way.
Okay. So can I ask you a question?
Of course.
All right. So if we agreed on that, you're either born a man or a woman, right?
Male or female chromosomally.
Okay. Yes.
Agreed on.
And would you be able to change those pronouns?
Not with people like you in the world.
Pronouns, yes. Pronouns are a choice that anyone can choose.
Pronouns are a social construct. They're made up by people. We decide how to use them, and you decide to use them in a way that's mean.
Yeah, okay, so whenever you were born on your birth certificate, was it put down male or female?
If you saw me on the street, go to my profile if you can, and go see if you can find one of my videos.
For what reason?
Just to see what I look like.
I see it in your profile. You have manly features, not to be rude, but...
Yeah, no, I don't. I haven't been misgendered in like 3 years. People don't.
You have the face of a man. It's pretty easy to tell.
Yeah, I really don't.
I promise you, there's people in the chat who are just gonna, glaze you, but then there's other who will be honest and say that you do look like a man. And that's not me being rude, that's just me being honest. I think you can see whatever
you want to see if you're trying to, because I could look at you and see a woman.
No, you couldn't, not at all.
Yes, I could.
We could just assert that though. If your whole argument is that it's how you feel about the way that Raven looks, like we could just argue that you look like a woman, and that would be shitty of us to do. And it would also
I would argue that if you go out and you look at people hard enough, you can actually see what they would have looked like as a man or a woman. We all have the capability of developing either way.
Yeah, but see, that's just another dumb topic that you brought up that has no correlation again.
You keep just calling our evidence against your claims like stupid or like, you know, you said I told you the thing about the brain structures of trans people, and you said you don't care about that, and I'm like, oh, the scientific data that proves that you're wrong, you don't care about that? How convenient. Like there's no, you can probably sense in my voice I'm a little apathetic towards this conversation because there's just nothing I can say to a person who, when they're presented with evidence, you didn't try to show me that it was wrong. You didn't try to show me that it didn't apply. You didn't try to show me that it was irrelevant.
No, I said
you just told me that you don't care.
It had no correlation. I said it had no correlation, so therefore I don't care.
What does that mean? For it to have,
because we were talking about fault, right? And then you brought up, the brain structure, whatever, bro. There's no correlation there.
What does that mean? When you say that sentence, there's no correlation there. What I'm saying is that the brain structures of a person are correlated with whether or not they are trans. There's a correlation there that the doctors have studied. So when you say there's no correlation there, what is it you're asserting? That I'm lying to you? That I'm giving you false information?
No, I'm saying there's no correlation to the conversation we were having.
I think the word you're looking for is relevance.
I think you were just getting roasted and didn't want to admit that you were wrong.
No, it was correlation to the conversation.
I don't think you know what correlation is. You keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means.
I don't think you know what that word means.
Yeah. Correlation has to do with something occurring with a greater than average frequency when matched with something else. It's two things correlating in occurrence with one another. Whether or not something correlates to a conversation is not really the correct usage of that word. It's whether or not something is relevant to the conversation. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, sure, Einstein. But we can keep going on.
I'm sorry, I knew a word.
Let's back this up and see if you can even define what we're talking about. So, caller, define sex and define gender.
Well, sex is what you were born as, and now I guess gender is changeable.
You guess, or do you know?
No, I would guess because it's.
So you don't actually know?
No. I know,
gender?
but it's something that should not be.
Can you define gender? Yes or no question.
What you identify as.
Yeah. So we've acknowledged that these two things are different, right?
Not in no way. They are not different.
You literally just used two different descriptions to describe them. So I think we've established that they're different, right?
Yeah, but they're two different words meaning the same thing, which y'all have taken over and changed.
They're used interchangeably, but that doesn't mean they mean the same thing.
He actually got the definitions right. He just doesn't care. He just doesn't care.
He can't take that intellectual step of saying, yes, they are different.
Yes, now they are different, but they should not be different. Because they are just what you identify as.
It's your fifis that are getting in the way here, huh?
My what?
Your fifis, your big emotions.
Yeah, your precious feelings.
Yeah, bro, my precious feelings are really.
I mean, you've put them in front of science, so.
You're telling us how you feel about all of this. Ominous, I see you in the request queue. You're going to be the next caller, potentially. Anyway, sorry, just responding to something in the chat. But again, you haven't offered anything but your feelings about how it should be, and we're telling you how it is.
Okay, yeah, and I showed you how it shouldn't be, right?
You haven't. You told us that you don't want it to be that way.
What your feelings make you think.
You said you don't want it to be that way, but you haven't demonstrated it at all.
Okay, so we agreed you're either born male or female, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we agreed that that's non-changeable. So therefore, being transgender is just all up in your head.
Wait. So listen. Wait. I'm going to take the floor for a second. And that's where you made the leap. We agree you can't change your chromosomes, and then you said that means you can't be transgender. But being transgender nobody is suggesting that it has to do with changing your chromosomes. So it's a false equivalency. Like you're specifically defining transgender as meaning something that it doesn't. Because you'd be right. If trans people were claiming that they were changing their chromosomes, if they were going from male to female or vice versa, that would be wrong. I would agree with you. That is not what transgenderism is.
Okay, can you explain what a transgender person would think?
You have two people ready.
Hello, Ezra. We haven't really said hi to Ezra. Ezra is also.
Oh no, you're fine.
So, do you want me to cover again how being transgender?
Explain what being transgender is then. Let me know
I'll make it a little bit personal. So at 30 years old, I was trying to figure out why I have never experienced joy. I just straight up had never been able to experience it. I thought when people experienced joy, they were faking it. I thought it was all made up. So I did some introspection on why that was happening. And I came to the conclusion that if I were to express joy, it would look like femininity. And so I dove into that. I started exploring that. I figured out what that looked like. And part of my journey was being in therapy. So my therapist had suggested that I try HRT, because if I express femininity, maybe I would feel more comfortable doing so in a feminine body. And so fast forward 3 months, and I started the medicine, and I started to feel great. I didn't even fully know that I was trans. I just was trying to figure out what made me happy. And so when I started to change my body, I was able to express joy. And isn't that the point of life?
No, that would not be the point of life. Not from my perspective.
What is the point of living to you? Is it being angry and dying?
Well, no, I'm a Christian, so I have meaning to my life, and that's not the topic. So we're not gonna get into that.
Well, we might get stuck on that, because if you have religious convictions that are gonna get in the way of you seeing reason, then there's no reason for us to keep trying.
Well, no, if you can literally prove to me it would be right to be transgender, then okay, I could agree with you.
I have to disprove your religion for that. So the question, there's an impasse there, because unless I can convince you that your God isn't real, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do, I actually am qualified to. I've done more religious debating in my life than I have political debating, just offline, and I am an atheist. But I at this point in the conversation, I kind of just have to declare that it's a waste of time to try to tell you that the science is going to tell you that your religion is wrong, because I don't think that that's going to work at all. The question has to become, why does your religion give you the right to dictate how other people live their lives?
What do you mean by that?
If the impasse we're at in this discussion about trans rights is your religion, I'm not gonna, unless you want to sit here and argue about religion, which I can put on my Richard Dawkins hat and do it. I know those talking points too. I know how to debate that stuff. But unless you want to do that, the only thing I can move on for other than you saying nuh-uh, because my religion, all I can say is, why should your religion dictate how other people get to live their lives?
Well, no. This is our first time bringing up religion. I haven't brought in any of my points from religion.
You also haven't brought any science.
We were cornering you about ignoring the science, and that's why you brought up your religion. And I'm saying that if your religion is the reason that you think that this is, right or wrong or whatever, then there's no amount of science that's going to overthrow that, because if that was the case, I don't think you'd be religious. So I'm just left asking, why is it then that we should make policies in our society that are based on your religion, when I could hypothetically make up my own religion that has some very nasty rules that you wouldn't like, and you wouldn't want me to legislate how your life is lived, what resources are available to you, which bathrooms you get to use based on my religion. I don't think that that's what we do in America. I think the founding fathers were pretty clear on that.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. That's not at all what I'm saying.
Then bring something substantial to the argument.
Oh my gosh, thank you, ZT. What'd you say?
Then bring anything substantial to the argument.
Right, so me and the host agreed on that you're either born male or female.
We all agreed on that, dumbass.
Calm it down, buddy. Okay, and then we agreed on that you can't change your chromosomes, right? So therefore you are a man or woman, and being transgender would have to get you to change what you are.
Actually, I would love to delve into this with you, because you're talking about chromosomes. So do they do testing on chromosomes when a baby is born?
I don't know, but what I can say, your chromosomes define you as male or female.
What are your chromosomes?
Have you ever
A lot of
checked your
people
chromosomes?
actually have chromosomal differences to the genitalia that they are born with. So if you were born with let's say a vagina, but you have XY chromosomes, does that mean that you were a woman or a man?
Well, no, those would be the exceptions, because there's nothing you can do about that.
You call them exceptions, but they exist in the world. So what are you going to do about it?
Trans people, we're arguing, are an exception to the normal state of affairs, which is that the vast majority of people have a gender identity that aligns with the socially expected gender identity for their chromosomal sex. We're talking about the exceptions. The entire conversation is about the exceptions.
If exceptions exist in this instance, you have to consider them.
Yeah. And I started that at the beginning when you said that it's either male or female at birth, and I said, well, no, there's actually some noteworthy exceptions on that too. I had to put that asterisk on there because there's like intersex people and other type of complicated outcomes.
Well, no, those, in my opinion, I know y'all don't have the same opinion with me at all. Those would be the only exceptions. Oh, hold up, bro. Those would be the only exceptions because there's nothing you can do about that. You're born like that. There's nothing you can do about that. However, being trans,
you're just declaring they're them to be the only exceptions, and the doctors disagree with you.
But how would they disagree with me?
By recognizing that gender dysphoria is a real thing and that what trans people are going through is like a real substantive studyable like issue that they have in their lives, in their physiology, in their neurology, however you want to look at it. They recognize it's real. You're just folding your arms and saying no. I even gave the evidence earlier that these people literally have different neuroanatomy on average, which suggests that what's going on with their experiences relative to what their body is a very real thing, and you're just refusing to admit it because of your feelings.
Well, no, that wouldn't be that at all, because a trans is you're either born one gender and not two mixed.
You don't even know what you're talking about, and you're so mad about
it. I'm not mad at all.
We literally talked to you about the chromosomal differences and differences in genitalia, and some people can be born with supposedly quote, quote, both, if we're talking about two genders. So... what?
Yeah, and I said that's the only exception because it's not their fault. However, being trans would be your fault.
It's not fault. How stupid are you?
You have a choice to be trans or not, right or wrong.
I really don't. I was going to die if I didn't transition.
The neuroanatomy would suggest other. Do you choose what your brain structures are? Did you have a choice in what your neuroanatomy is?
No, but I have a choice.
Then why do trans people have different neuroanatomy than cis people? How can that be the case if you're saying they choose? No.
And cognitive dissonance, engage.
Your sexuality is not forced upon you.
Explain to me then how it is that trans people have different neuroanatomy. Can you choose to change your neuroanatomy? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, not at all.
Right. That's evidence that you don't choose to be trans because you have different neuroanatomy on average if you're trans.
Brother, I'm saying you can like what you like and do what you want, but it's not forced upon you.
Can you change your neuroanatomy? Yes or no?
No, you're not.
Okay. When you have a medical condition or imbalance in your brain, what's the solution?
What?
When you go to the doctor and you say, I'm depressed, I have a chemical imbalance in my brain. What do? What's
antidepressants?
Yeah, kind of like HRT.
Did you choose to be depressed though? Laying in bed all day, not doing the dishes, not calling your friends, not getting the sunshine.
Yes. Being depressed is 100% a choice.
Wow, you're stupid.
I think that's our W.
Being depressed is a choice.
Holy stupidity, Batman.
You want to know why
it's a choice? Called it a brain chemical disorder, like imbalance, and then you're gonna say it's a choice. What an idiot.
Do you want to know why it would be a choice to be depressed?
In the same breath, dude.
Brother, do you want to know why it would be a choice to be depressed?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so we can choose what to do and what not to do, right?
Those are the consequences of being depressed. It doesn't.
You can choose to treat depression.
Well, yeah,
you don't choose to have it.
Consequences, right? So we can.
You choose to treat it, you dumbass.
So if you go outside and don't just bed rot and force yourself into depression, you would find happiness.
For some people, you can fix depression that way. It depends on the type of depression. If your depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in your brain, that type of stuff doesn't work. And those are people for whom medications are far more effective for treating their depression. Depression's not made up. Do you literally think that like all of psychology is completely like wrong about how things like depression works?
I would say depression is a choice still, no matter what. You said
that a few times. I'm asking you to defend that.
I need him to say very clearly, do you think that the medical professionals who diagnose people with depression and give them medicine are wrong, and that they just need to tell them to go outside for a walk?
Yes, there's other solutions.
Holy shit, you're stupid.
This is the rise of anti-intellectualism.
There are other solutions than going to a doctor and all this other stuff. There's other solutions.
I can
you
tell
just
you,
fundamentally don't understand
let me
this.
take the floor for a second. When I was like 16, I was depressed in a way that was very, very serious, and my family was like very, very worried that I was going to self-unalive. And I went and got treatment. Like my mom had to like drag me to the doctor's office to like get me out of bed to go deal with it. And we tried some chemical solutions. I was on some chemical solutions to depression. They turned out not to be the right ones for me. They just weren't effective on me. And what I found is actually the sorts of things that you are describing were effective on me. Getting good exercise and going outside and having hobbies and making sure that I'm engaging with my friends properly, like those sort of brute force ways of treating depression through like cognitive behavioral therapy, like changing my thoughts and actions intentionally, that happened to work for me. And that is what has been working my entire life. And that's why I'm such a happy-go-lucky person. That's not the case for everybody, and I worked with doctors to figure out what was the best solution for me. Do you think you know better than those doctors?
Probably. I'm not gonna lie. If they're telling you you need to take medicine to cure depression, they are 100% wrong. You would never need to.
Let's talk about your hubris right now. You really think that you're smarter than the doctors? Let's
If they're
unpack
telling you
that.
to take medicine for depression, then yes, you can treat depression in so many other ways. It's a choice to be depressed. Just like it's a choice to be
How much
depressed.
time have you spent studying depression as a topic, like clinically? Have you taken any classes on medicine or psychology?
No, I wouldn't need to for basic knowledge.
So you're just guessing.
Well, no, it would be basic knowledge.
Would you give me some of the diagnostic criteria for depression that a doctor might use to diagnose you with it?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't study it. It would be basic knowledge. So I don't know.
I have to drop. This dude's hilarious.
Love you.
Love you, bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, you said it's basic knowledge. If it is such basic knowledge, just maybe answer the fucking question. If it's such basic knowledge.
What question?
What is depression?
It's when you are very sad.
I was very sad when my father died. Did that mean I was depressed?
You could have been.
I don't think I was. I think I'd prepared a lot for his death because he was really unhealthy for a long time, and I got to have some final conversations with him that, like, almost 10 years later, I'm really happy with how all that went. I don't have any regrets about how I spent my time with him while he was here, but it was very sad. I cried a lot when he died. So was I depressed?
So can you define depression? Can you give me the definition of it?
Yeah, so there's a set of diagnostic criteria that psychologists use to assess whether or not a person is depressed that have to do with how frequently over the course of the last 2 weeks they experience certain symptoms, such as inability to sleep properly, inability to accomplish important work tasks, inability to engage with their social life, inability to engage with their hobbies, feelings of down, concerns about self-harm. Like there's a whole, it's like a dozen or 2 dozen things that you take a questionnaire and they add up the number of those things that you've experienced in the last 2 weeks. And there's a chapter in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, that explains exactly how you score that such that it adds up to enough for what is our cutoff for the clinical definition for depression, which allows you to then get into a pool of people who we have good research about. If you score higher than this, these medications might work for you. These types of therapy might work for you. So it's all very specifically designed. I happen to be educated on it, both from having gone through it myself and just because I took psychology in college and I learned about it. You don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Okay, so how would you get depressed?
Lots of different reasons. I mean, there's lots of different contributing factors to depression. Some of them are nature and some of them are nurture. If your parents were struggled with depression in their life, you're more likely to struggle with depression in your life even if you were adopted as a baby and you never met them, because it has a biological component. But there's also things that can happen in a person's life that make them more likely to become depressed. So it's complicated. It's a complicated outcome of a lot of things. It has to do with how a person's brain structures happen to be equipped to face the things that happen in their lifetime, how the nature equips them to deal with the nurture. But people go to school for years to understand this stuff, and you're sitting here folding your arms and saying, without having read anything about it or even knowing what a clinical definition for depression is, that you understand it well enough to use it as an example in an argument against trans people, which is also an issue that you clearly don't understand.
Well, no, either way, depression would still be a choice. There's nothing that you can't do to cure depression or to not get it.
So if you cannot see it as someone that is not suffering with it, then it doesn't exist, right? So if you cannot see somebody that is trans, what they are dealing with internally, then it does not exist to you. So
he got a flag. I don't know for what.
Oh, dang.
But
I'll continue this thought real quick. The idea is basically like, if you can't see any sort of mental illness, whether that be depression or, let's see, bipolar, I deal with
schizophrenia.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of different things. Does that mean that their delusions are not something that they are experiencing? Are they faking it for attention?
PTSD must be made up. Schizophrenia must be made up. Alzheimer's must be made up, because that's just in the brain, right? Like, yeah, it's nonsense. It's nonsense the way he looks at these issues.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out real quick, he stepped into my trap that I was trying to set for him. I was trying to catch him before he got kicked, but he straight up said depression would still be a choice because either you don't go outside or you don't get it treated. He literally said it. Or you don't get it treated.
Yeah.
So therefore, trans people are just getting it treated. It's not our choice. It's how we fucking deal with the hand we were dealt.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like, we don't even need to have that good of an argument in favor of our side to just point out that, like, the people who call into this show and want to get all, are so upset about trans issues for some reason are people who don't understand even the most basic information about the issue at all.
Dunning-Kruger to the extreme.
Yeah. He was refusing to answer my questions because he hadn't studied it and said that it's just common sense. And then it's like, oh, if it's just, or common knowledge. And it's like, oh, if it's just common knowledge, then you should be able to answer, right? Like what's the point?
Yeah.
In no way was that good.
Dishonesty was his main go-to.
With younger callers, because he was 18, if we're to believe him, I do think that there's, like, I give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt in terms of it genuinely being Dunning-Kruger instead of it being disingenuous, because I have a hard time believing that a 30-something-year-old could have a conversation like that and still think they're right in it. An 18-year-old might never have been told by somebody outside of a classroom that they're wrong. Like, he might genuinely think it does just work that way, that you can glance at an issue and come up with an assessment of it. And if that hasn't been challenged in his life...
That's essentially how public school teaches us.
That was like the first caller today was in a similar position, but they were listening, and I immediately proved them they conceded on both issues. It was trans women and abortion, and that was kind of fascinating. Yeah, go watch today's VOD, because the first caller conceded. They brought me abortion and trans, and I got them to concede completely on both issues, and then they left. They said they're going to change the way they think about politics.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
W host.
I literally requested, like, as I woke up, so that's why I was a little off my game.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for hopping up, the two of you. I'm going to get on to the next caller, and I'll kick you for the algorithm. Thanks for helping out, because I certainly love having support for those conversations. I feel a little icky being a white guy who spends an hour a day defending trans people. Just anyway, UCME is back. We'll see what we're going to talk about today. I have to apologize to UCMA because I remember you, but I don't remember which one you are. I don't remember what you talked about. Perhaps your voice will remind me. How old are you?
61, and we talked about the amnesty thing on the past, but I do want to talk about the transgender thing if we can, and I'd love for Raven to be back on the phone if that's possible.
Raven and Ezra are both listening, so that's up to them if they want to appear in the queue, but sure. Let me ask you, did you listen to the entirety of the previous call? I know you've been in the queue for a while.
Yeah, I almost every bit of it, and you re-clarified what I'd missed from the very beginning of that. So, yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, where do you want to take it from here? And Raven is joining the panel again.
Awesome. How are you, Raven?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So I'd like to maybe set a couple axioms and stuff, not the same old, biological thing and everything, but I do want to make a comment real quick about something that a main point in that conversation with the MRI thing, and also with the science backing up this stuff, right? But I do want to clarify something. I am not a transphobe. My nephew is trans, so I'm going to take this argument or debate from
Not convinced yet. You'll have
what
to
you
prove
may
it.
normally hear, but it doesn't mean that I have no compassion. Okay.
I want you to understand something before we move on. I want to know if you're capable of understanding this. Just because you don't intend to be transphobic does not mean you do not exude transphobia.
Okay. Well, why don't you wait until you hear me before you make that accusation?
I didn't make that accusation. I want to make sure you understood that concept.
Yeah, I fully understand that concept.
I think Raven's point. I think Raven's point is that not everybody who's transphobic is even knowingly transphobic.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to point out that I'm not. That I do have some experience with it, and then that's what he got jumped to. And I'm trying not to have an argument, but more of a debate on a more civilized basis, right?
I'm just saying, anytime anybody starts with "I'm not transphobic," but it usually means they're about to exude
That's a you problem. That's not a me problem, right? So here's kind of the thing: the MRI does not identify any sort of transgenderism like you kind of presented. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it does not show that. It does show. Pardon me.
What's your proof on that? Because I have medical research that shows
and you can AI it. Either one you want to do.
I actually have the article, the study up right now. Do you want to talk about it? Which one are you talking about, first of all?
Pardon me?
We have the studies available.
I didn't understand you.
I have the study up.
Right. And the study says that the brain scans can tell if somebody's transgender or not.
No, yes, it says that they're different.
It says what?
It says that they differ from their cisgender parts.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I find the right one?
But they don't differ in. It doesn't differ in the fact of transgender versus cis. It differs in somebody that may have an issue in their brain that's causing some dysphoria, but it doesn't significantly or specifically say transgenderism, right?
So
and that's kind of what we're
if you're saying a brain is structured like a female, that there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, you'd have to show me that to tell me that they can actually see that somebody who was born a male has a brain structure of a female.
You literally pulled the study up.
And not just being feminine.
Are you going to absorb it or are you going to deny it?
Well, see, you're already attacking me and it's put me on the defensive, and I'd rather not do that.
How is that an attack? How is that an attack?
Well, you may not see it, but I do. I feel that way. Can you
explain it to me like I'm dumb? How is that an attack by telling you to look at the study that we pulled up?
No, but you included, will you absorb it or not? I'm
because statistically, these conversations, like the one we just had, they don't actually listen to anything.
Well, why don't you let me prove myself before making that accusation?
Then you can just say, yes, I will absorb it. That's not that hard.
I don't like the angle. I don't like the manipulation.
Well, then you don't understand the struggles that I face every day talking to idiots.
Yeah, so you're already attacking me, and I keep saying I prefer not to do that.
We're asking if you're going to operate in good faith, and you're getting mean about it.
1,000%. You don't even have to ask.
No, I do. Dude, have you watched this show before? Of course, we have to ask if you're going to operate in good faith.
I've seen you debate up here. You don't operate in good faith.
Also, that.
Yeah. Well, that's a subjective opinion, and I respect it.
I'll say it, Oscar. I'll be the asshole.
Thank you.
You do it enough in person. I'll do it online.
Okay, so basically this study that I pull up, I don't know if
that's a friendly job.
Yeah. No. Me and Raven are friends in real life. So it's like in person. So that was just a friend jab. Anyway, the study that's pulled up isn't even one particular study. Do you know what a meta-analysis is?
Yes.
Okay, for the audience, a meta-analysis is when you take a whole big mess of studies and you put them all together and you cross-correlate the data and you see what type of conclusions you can draw from looking at everything. Because it turns out tons of people have wanted to study the neuroanatomy of trans people. And the conclusion from looking at all of the studies that can be found that are relevant to the matter, in this article, I'll scroll back up so everybody can get the title again in just a second. The primary results are that transgender persons differed significantly from cisgender persons with respect to subcortical brain volumes, volumes and surface area, but not to cortical thickness. So they don't differ in every way, but they differ in some important ways. And then further on in this paragraph, it does identify that there are 4 groups here, because there's cis men and cis women, people whose gender identity matches what society would expect for their chromosomal sex. And then there's the other 2 groups. There's trans men and there's trans women. So there's 4 groups, and what the studies show is that these 4 groups are distinct from each other in such a way that makes it unreasonable to assert that the trans women should be treated as though they are cis men, because the neuroanatomy says that they are not.
Yeah, see, I'm not even suggesting that they shouldn't be. I'm not suggesting that there's not an issue. I'm not suggesting that the MRI
that means that something's wrong with them.
Right. It doesn't specifically. It could be any number of dysphorias that might make them have a different brain structure in an MRI. And I'm not really. That wasn't my main point. So I'd like to move on from that. I'll give you that one.
But what this shows is that being a transgender person is a real neurophysiological situation that makes them a distinct group of people in terms of their gender relative to cis men and cis women.
Okay, I don't read that the same, but I'll concede the point. That's fine. That was not my
Apparently it's above his pay grade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy you'll concede it, because that is very specifically what the conclusion of this meta-analysis on things like fMRI data about
but
brain structures.
The ones that I don't have readily available for you that I have looked up counter that, so we can just agree to disagree on that. I'm fine with that. It's not a main issue. And
can I ask you just a general question real quick to see if you can follow this?
Yeah.
So, a baby born with a cleft lip, would you say that they were born perfect, or that something misfired in their development?
Well, from a biological standpoint, something misfired. From a God standpoint, they're born perfect.
So now, imagine that this misfire with my SRI gene, SRY, whatever the fuck it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that it's possible that my SRY gene, whatever it is, misfired into making me a man, where the rest of my body developed as a female?
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely think that all of those biological things are 100% proven and possible, right? I'm not arguing that point. Why do you bring that up? You have another point to make on it?
I guess, what is your overarching point? What are you trying to debate here?
It's more along the social lines of it than it is the biological lines of it, because I think we all agree what the biology says. I don't think anybody has really a disagreement in that. So it goes along the social lines of it. And what I'm trying to do in this is to point out more along the lines of what I experienced before finding out that my nephew was trans, right? And how I made a transition to that, but also able to keep my morality and my critical thinking in line without just being coerced with social penalty if I didn't comply, right?
Get to your point.
Pardon me?
Can you get to the point?
So like for instance, one avenue. There's many of them. One avenue is the whole reconstruction of the word gender which I have no problem with, but it has been recaptured. And where the problem lies is not with people like me that are older, right? Before getting what y'all all say, get educated, right? The education that we have didn't teach what y'all are presenting now, right?
Accepting just fine.
Pardon me?
I know 90-year-olds that accept trans people just fine.
My parents
That's not my point, Raven. My point is simply this. In order to get your point across, there's a couple things that have to happen, right? And what had to happen in me. First, you can't just attack people and call them ignorant and uneducated, right? When they've been educated.
You assumed I attacked you a lot, and honestly, that says a lot.
You think that's the first thing we do?
No, I'm going to give you my experience. I don't know what you can give me yours, but you can't say they, because you can't speak for every trans, right? So my personal experience was and is
right there. You're exuding transphobia by calling somebody a trans.
Pardon me?
You're exuding transphobia actively.
Oh, Jesus Christ! What would you want me to call it then? Please tell me. Not educate me.
Trans is not a fucking noun.
What did I call it? Just trans? Is that
now you said it.
You CME, you do realize, you understand that you should call black people, not blacks, right? Hello?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Look.
All right, stop talking. Stop talking. Good boy. You don't call people trans. You You call them a trans person.
He's teacupped. I don't know what he's Googling. He's trying to check his facts.
No, I'm not trying to take my facts. I got a call.
Okay, that's fair.
So let's not micro.
We're not going to move on until you understand
Except
how to talk
my
to people
good faith.
correctly. Sir, we're not going to move on until you understand how to talk to people correctly.
I will do that for you if you will do that for me.
I have been. So can you acknowledge how you misspoke?
I acknowledge that I need to call trans people or person.
Thank you.
Okay. So when you talk about a trans person, because now if you would try not to, help me to change directions and let me kind of stay on one, that would be helpful. But so when I had to go through all of that with mine, I had to get educated, right? In quotations, right? Because that's what gets told to me, right? So I'm trying to avoid or trying to help in saying that this education needs to be done without anger, without these corrections, because I didn't intentionally say trans without saying trans person, but you made that an issue. So that's the point I'm making.
It's problematic
if you would stop doing that.
You show up saying, I'm not transphobic. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, but you're just trying to prove that
Raven
I am, and I'm not.
I say you exude transphobia. I did not say you are transphobic. I said you exude transphobia.
Would you define transphobic?
An aversion or just
Whatever you think.
For disrespect.
Whatever you think. Define transphobia or transphobic.
It's pretty simple. Do I really need to go through this with you?
If you don't mind, because your definitions are clearly different than mine.
It's an adverse reaction to, it's an unacceptance of, it's disrespect of, it's lack of willingness to learn.
Okay. And have I demonstrated any of those things?
You've exuded transphobia, yes.
Wow. Okay. So is that a subjective opinion or an objective opinion?
Objective. When you said somebody was a trans.
So what you think is objective.
Transphobic.
So what you think is objective. So if there are other people that would say that what I'm saying is not transphobia, or is it just everybody?
It would be a conservative person.
Well, no. So if there's anybody else that would say that I'm not a transphobe, then your opinion is subjective, not objective.
That's like saying a civilian has an opinion on military matters.
They do.
They really don't.
Oh, yeah, they do. You don't have an opinion about the military?
I'm saying like operations. You don't get to say how an operation is going to be done if you're a civilian.
Yeah, but the success of that operation is either objective or subjective. Which would it be?
Pretty objective, I would say.
Really?
But that's just not the question. The question
Right.
is like chain of command in that case. Like the foot soldiers don't have a say. That's like very important to how the military works.
Okay, all right, fine. So I think we're both saying the same things, just in different words. But here's my point, right? So what happens when I was in school, right? The transgender people and that movement was not even there, really. It was not even a thing, right?
Just because you did not see it does not mean that it did not exist.
Okay, all right. My God, I have to really be careful to rephrase
No. You don't have to be careful. It's all right. We are very open and very understanding.
Right.
I think that if you think that we are not doing this in good faith,
so
you do not know us.
In my experience,
let Ezra speak.
Think that we are doing this in good faith.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
We are respecting you. I think that you need to give that same respect to us.
I started my conversation with respect.
Let me sum it up this way. Nobody here is mad at you that you feel like trans issues weren't there and important when you were younger, because these people were hiding. They were afraid of what was going to happen to them.
That wasn't my point, though. I'm trying to teach you more about...
We're trying to correct your ignorance in real time.
Yeah, so
there we go with the ignorance thing, right?
Well, it seemed like, based on what you just said a moment ago, that you were a little bit ignorant of the fact that there were trans trans people when you were young. They were just in hiding. And
That's not what I said. And see, here's the problem with manipulation tactics, right? So when I start a conversation to get to a point, you interrupt the conversation, stop it where you want to stop it, and never let it get to the point where it is, which is probably something you would agree with.
We don't allow you to build on ignorance.
Yeah, we can't.
It's not hard to build on ignorance. Is there any dumb question?
You spoke ignorance when you said
there
that
any
these
dumb
issues
question?
weren't. Yes, there is actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
I will
that is
say you can ask
how do you
a
teach
question.
people when you call them dumb?
You see me, you got to use your listening ears or the conversation's not going to work, especially because we're a panel of 4 of us right now. So it's like even harder than when it's just you and me to control. Because all we're saying is that you still haven't even conceded it, and we could just move on if maybe we corrected your misunderstanding. It's not that trans people have suddenly sprung up. It's that they are slowly getting some rights and some acceptance in society. So you're hearing about it more. It's being talked about more.
I don't recognize. I don't need
Here's
to
the question. Here's the question that I'm asking you.
I am.
Dude, you're not even letting me finish.
I am.
I'm asking you directly. Do you at this time understand that it is not particularly relevant that you didn't see much of this when you were in school for the reasons that we've described, and it has been an issue in human history all this time. We are just only now dealing with this.
Okay, I don't have to concede something I agree with, right?
Okay,
so
we're just making sure, and you're giving us such a hard time to like make sure that you agree on these things.
I'm giving you a hard. Oscar, I'm giving you a hard time for stopping me when I'm not even gotten to the point, and you
are the one trying to fight a semantics war, and then you're saying things blatantly incorrect.
All right, how about this? If you'll let me finish the comment, maybe you'll change your opinion of me, okay? If you'll let me finish, then maybe it'll happen, right? So just try it, right? So in my time in growing up, there was not an outcry or any kind of trans people scenario. So when we go in and into school and we learn these things that are male, female, man, woman, very few pronouns and everything. And please let me finish because the point is very valid. So we learn things in my age group that are different now, right? So I have to get educated on what has changed, right? When it hasn't really changed, it's more of a social change. And the problem I have more with that social change is not that there is a change, is that it is either comply or face social penalty like what you're doing to me now. So my point is simply this. How can we educate everybody? How can we educate everybody?
I need you to define that real quick.
What's that?
Is being corrected social penalty?
Okay, being corrected is not social penalty. Attacking me with your Islam arts and stuff is.
I do get sassy when I have realized that a guest is not listening.
But that's a subjective thing. I am listening to you, Raven. I respect you. I acknowledge you. I affirm you.
You're not intaking information, so that makes me believe that you're not actually listening to hear. You're listening to respond.
Well, how about this? How about you just say I'm not taking the information in without telling me I'm ignorant?
I have told you that. Ignorant is not an insult, and you thinking that is just going to show how the lack of
it is meant to be an insult, and you know it, Raven. That's just
no. This comes up a lot on the show. Ignorant is just, there's tons of things I'm ignorant of.
Ignorance is a state of being.
Yeah, it just means that you're not knowledgeable about something. So why do you think it's necessarily an insult? I would argue that it's less of an insult, because if you feel the way that a lot of people who don't like trans people do, and it's not because of ignorance, then it's because you're an asshole. So like I would prefer you be ignorant than an asshole, and there's nothing wrong with being ignorant.
I know that argument, and I'm not even saying that. The point is that if you would be more along the lines of what you are promoting to be, where people get educated, then you would educate without having
Here's my problem with this, ucme, is that I do go out there and I do try to have these conversations with people. And the problem is that 99% of the time, they're not actually listening to try to hear from my worldview. And so they're not learning anything. And that is extremely frustrating.
I can agree with that.
And that's exactly what you're doing.
What I'm trying to point out to you is that based on what we have learned in my age group, it takes a little bit more patience.
Just from this specific conversation, I can already tell that you do not take in information willingly. It has to be shoved down your throat.
Listen, in my world,
if your refusal to even acknowledge my point is proof of that in real time.
What point did I not acknowledge, Raven? Sorry.
Literally, you're just going on a tangent.
What point did I not acknowledge so I can acknowledge it, please?
All of it. Every
Okay, I
time I
acknowledge
bring
that.
something up, you consider it either an attack or you just completely ignore it.
Well, yeah, okay, so do I have to defer to what you think is an attack or the way I feel? Because you want me to
I
feel
think
how
that
you
you
feel.
need to respect the woman in the room.
I think that
I
being
do
told
respect her.
that
Why would you
your
say that?
stance is uninformed is not an attack, and you thinking it is just proves that your cognitive
Okay,
dissonance
we're
is
going
going
off
to be
on
a
another
problem in this
tangent.
conversation. And now you're interrupting me.
I acknowledge it. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge it. If I can please get to my other points, I would
And now you're
acknowledge
acting
it.
like a toddler, further
Yeah,
proving that your
you're-
cognitive
you-
dissonance
There
is
you
going
go
to
with
be
the
a problem in this
insults. I'm
conversation.
trying to get past something that you keep
And you
harping on.
can't shut the fuck up for 5 seconds.
you
and
can't
I'm
shut the fuck
intellectually,
up.
You've
see
interrupted
me.
the last 3 of my conversations.
why
the last
people
3 of my
see me.
4 of my sentences.
You
Well,
see
that's
me, I
fine.
need you to listen. It is intellectually dishonest to concede a point just so you can get to another point, because we're trying to build this argument. We're trying to get to a place of understanding, and what's happening is that we're stuck at the foundation and we disagree about some really important stuff, and you want to keep going, but we're saying no, we can't keep building up unless we figure out what the foundation is. So we're not tangenting. We're really stuck on it because we know that it's unsteady if we keep going forward. You really want to
And
get
you're
to your
saying,
point.
You're saying I'll
Okay,
place this bridge later. And
Yeah, I
just trying to
understand.
continue to
I
build.
understand your point, Oscar, and don't disagree with
And
it.
have
The
you
problem
noticed
that
how he only ever respects
Oh,
what
yeah.
Oscar has to say because he's the man in the room?
What'd you say?
Anybody else notice that?
Your
I did
demeanor
notice that.
is noticeably different when you're talking to me versus my two co-panelists.
You're not attacking me, Oscar, and I've been upset with you when you
I'm
attack
saying
me.
pretty much the same thing as Raven and Ezra.
No, you're not, and you're saying it with a different tone.
The audience can judge.
That's fine.
Because it's
saying-
in a feminine tone. You
I
consider
was
it
gonna
an
say,
attack.
Now you're telling me I disrespect women. That's what you're trying to tell
I'm
me.
saying it with a deeper voice. You're noticing that.
I can do a deeper voice too if you'd really like.
Yeah. So again, if you could, Raven, please, and I'm asking you with utmost respect, and please stop doing the things you're accusing me of. If you want me to stop too, and I will stop. Okay?
What have I done?
All right, don't please just take that whatever it is and just move forward with that in your mind and
Do
try
you realize how
to
you keep
understand
speaking
that I
in
affirm
completely
you.
unsubstantiated
I-
and substantive sentences that mean
you always go to
absolutely
that
nothing?
argument, Raven, and it's old and tired. Listen, I affirm you. I think you're wonderful. I think you deserve whatever you want. I don't
I
call
think
you
you're
Hey, we
anything
changed
other
his
than what you
mind.
are.
You see, I do think that you're well-intentioned, but you're extremely ignorant, and your cognitive dissonance is a problem that you probably need to go through in therapy.
See, I think the same about you.
I have gone to therapy, and he said I was wonderful.
Right. So you also mentioned that the medical part of this, that there was
Instead of
a
acknowledging
lot of
my point.
medical backups to what it is, and this is a genuine question. It's not an accusation. Please.
Have you noticed
just
how you
answer me.
skipped over the whole point about me saying that I think you're well-intentioned but extremely cognitive dissonance?
thank you for
and You're
that.
not actually hearing any of this.
I did hear it, and thank you. Do I need to acknowledge it every time you say something and thank you like that? I will.
And then you notice how you tried to say I should go to therapy, and I said I did. And then I asked if you went to therapy, and you moved on.
It's what you said. I didn't say you need to go to therapy. It's my judgment to do that. I don't care if you go to therapy or not.
You said after I said that you should go to therapy about your cognitive dissonance that maybe I should, and I said I did.
I repeated your comment to me that was really nasty back to you.
Mine wasn't nasty. I was being genuine when I said I do think that you
Well,
should.
then
go to
I was
therapy.
being genuine. I don't know why we're having an argument
See
about
how
this.
you don't have a spine about your convictions?
I do have a.
And he's teacupped.
Spot. So I want to ask you a genuine question, right? So on this medical stuff that you guys have presented, when you talk about the medical side of it, do you also separate the difference between the biology and the psychology, or is it like just a carte blanche medical field?
I personally have never cared that much about the quote quote medical side of it because there wasn't enough substantial evidence that I had seen until I think fairly recently. I think that personally it's important that people are experiencing these things and telling people that they are experiencing these things, not hurting other people and not hurting themselves and living their best life.
Sure. But Oscar, didn't you mention, or didn't somebody mention that you keep using the medical argument that it's medically proven, medically proven? Is that, and the doctors that are writing these papers, are they, and I'm not saying this right, are they medical, biological type doctors, like say,
so I get what you're saying, but so if you looked at that meta-analysis, and I'm speculating here a little bit just based on my general knowledge about how trans issues are studied by doctors, but if you looked at that meta-analysis and you looked at all the studies that they added up into that medical analysis, or into that meta-analysis, what you'd find is all different types of doctors. You would find clinical psychologists, you'd find psychopharmacologists, who are the people who determine which substance medications are useful for dealing with mental issues. You'd find neurologists, you'd find neuroscientists, there's a whole bunch of different fields that go into these types of studies. So yeah, just across the board, the medical field disagrees with you. You're not going to find that it's like some squirrely leftist wing of medicine. It's all of medicine.
Wait, disagrees with me on what? I was asking a question. I didn't pose an argument. I was just asking, was it medical or psychological or both?
I actually have all the authors pulled up and I'm looking at it. It looks like a great combination of, there's a couple of neurosurgeons, and let's see, there's someone that is a human development study.
That makes sense, yeah.
Individual, yeah.
A developmental scientist of some kind, yeah.
Neuroimaging.
Yeah, experts who do the MRIs and do the brain scans that yield this data. We have a general enough understanding about the type of work it is to do these sorts of studies that, there's a dozen different fields that could get tangled up in it.
So it's a good combination then.
Yep. It's all the relevant people. Yep.
So it's accurate information.
Yep. It's a very, very good meta-analysis.
All right, cool. All right, so if I could try to go back to where I was trying to get to a point where you would understand how you might better, as trans people, be able to educate the people that you call transphobic. And what worked for me was, and I still hold on to some of my moral issues on it, and I'll explain in just a second with my nephew, right?
You call them moral issues, but they're probably just transphobic values.
Pardon me?
When you say I'm holding on to moral things, that probably means you're denying science in order to.
Well, why don't you let me finish before making that comment? I mean, because I think you might disagree with what you just said.
Because 100% of the time I've dealt with this in reality, that's.
Well, we're going to change that from 100 to 99.
I'm so excited for you to do that.
Right. So when I was getting educated on what it is, and I'm not denying the dysphoria or the mental issues, and I don't even want to call it mental illness because I don't really believe that. I think there might be some that are, but I don't think that the majority is. I don't think my nephew is. I think there's some confusion and things like that he's having to work through, or she's having to work through. But the problem that I have is that it's very difficult when the argument is always derogatory or negative towards somebody that really does want to learn this, but not presenting themselves as that person, right? I think in depth you find that a lot of people are more, and if I can, just before I talk about my moral issues, if I could just go back to my time growing up when LGBT was. Yeah, I'm trying. When LGBT, God, you're so impatient. When LGBT, I have to be very careful of saying everything or I'll get chastised, right? So please forgive me for that.
The difficulty I have, ucme, is that every time we give you the floor to make your point, you kind of just do this round table of what is. I'm just going to continue. That this is what gets said in the chat. It's kind of what I'm experiencing. My co-panelists can speak for themselves, but it does just kind of feel like a little bit of word salad about a bunch of issues and terms that are important to you. But I'm not hearing the through line. Yeah, that's.
I'll be more direct.
Okay.
I'll be more direct. All right. So when the LGBT community back in my day was more of the calling for change and stuff like that, and it happened. There was a lot of conversation that wasn't as aggressive as it is today when you talk about the trans people. And I'm only encouraging if that aggression will go away.
You still haven't learned?
if that aggression will go away, that would be helpful for your position. Now, my moral issues on this.
So you want me to be part of people that want to kill me?
Just the same as it was back then. I don't know if you know your history of LGBT.
They're not making laws to kill you.
I don't know of a law that they're wanting to kill you. I apologize if there is one. I fight against it.
Do you know the history of how Germany started putting people in concentration camps?
Yeah, but I'm talking about America. You're saying right now they're making laws for that?
All right, shut the fuck up. Some of the first ones that they did.
Man. Please don't be disrespectful.
Shut the fuck up. One of the first ones that they did put in camps were trans people. And do you know how they started doing that? They did that by writing laws that ostracized them from society. That's exactly...
Well, I'll fight against those laws.
Shut the fuck up. That's exactly what's happening today in America. I'm literally talking to say a point, you dumbass. This is why I don't take you seriously, and this is why I don't respect you.
He's earned this. Watch your language, Raven. You're going to get a bullying flag.
Fine. So anyways, I am actively watching my country that I fought and signed up to die for start to enact these laws that are going to end up with me in a concentration camp dead. So when I see people standing here refusing to even listen to my side and consume it instead of just trying to argue it, it is very frustrating.
Right. So if I can ask you, when I'm literally saying the words, you either think I'm lying when I really literally say the words and I want to consume it and you don't want to help me consume it, whose fault is that?
The problem is when you say you want to consume it and then I explain it and then you try to say, okay, but that's
so I'm a liar.
That's the problem. No, it's
so
not.
I can't have an opinion.
You're showing, shut the fuck up. You're showing that you don't actually want to listen. You're listening in order to dissect it. You're not listening to understand it.
That is literally what you do.
Literally. Yes, because I'm trying to make you understand my perspective. That's the whole point. You're trying to learn my perspective, and then when I teach it to you, you reject it.
Well, let's clarify that.
You aren't even hearing what I'm saying. Like
I am hearing what you're saying. Why do you think I'm ignorant? Because I just don't. Because
I've said this like 7 times now, and you keep trying to tell me that I don't understand what I'm trying to tell you.
I understand. I just think you're wrong.
That's my point.
You're not wrong on everything. You're wrong on what you're accusing me of being.
I'm saying that you are showing that you are that when you reject my attempts to educate you.
Okay, you're showing that you don't want to educate. You want to coerce me.
No, I'm trying. What? What coercion is there? I bring science and evidence and facts and anecdotal evidence.
You bring those things.
What am I trying to convince you of? What am I trying to convince you of that's not real?
I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Wait. Let me say this first. You bring those things with a fuck you, you're stupid. So
Ezra is sitting here thinking the same thing I am, which is like we can go down the rabbit hole about ucme being completely unable to see that he has done transphobic things in this phone call. But I like Ezra's question. What exactly is your moral objection to trans people?
I don't. That's my point. I don't have a moral objection, but I do have a moral objection of it.
You have a moral objection to this.
Jesus Christ!
He just said it in the same breath.
Shut the F up for once and let me tell you.
The words that you just said were that you don't have a moral objection, but you do have a moral objection. So whatever cognitive dissonance you're going to do, we're going to figure it out. But please tell us what the moral objection is so we can get to work on it.
Okay. All right. So I don't have a moral objection to trans people living their lives. I have a moral objection to what I have to participate in a lie and that's where my problem was, right?
What lie?
So the lie of, man, this is going to be a bad one.
Here comes transphobia.
The lie of anything. So would you accept anybody to lie to you?
What lie are trans people telling?
All right. So when a trans person says, I am a woman, and they are not a biological woman, but they won't say the truth. No, please don't interrupt me, please. They won't say, I know I was born a man, but I feel like a woman, therefore I want to, present myself as a woman. Fine, I'm good with that, right? But when they say, I was born a man, I feel like a woman, therefore I am a woman, because the gender structure, the social structure of that word means that I am an actual woman. They don't Not like you.
Okay,
You probably
okay.
admit that you were born a male. A lot of
When
them,
you meet somebody, let's say at a restaurant, let's say that your waiter is trans,
right?
but you don't necessarily know that. Do
Right.
you want them to come up to you and go, "Hi guys, my name is Katie. I am trans female"?
No,
Every
there you
time?
go. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm saying. No, if you can
Okay.
trick me, that's fine. That's not
you.
me.
See, that's the
let me
problem.
finish. That's
That's
not me
transphobic.
participating in a lie.
Yeah, dude.
Rick.
That
That's
If you can trick me,
transphobia.
it's fine, but I don't want you to lie to me.
I said, if you can trick me, I'm not participating in the lie.
Totally transphobic with your chest.
I'm not transphobic. You are.
Interesting.
You're heterophobic.
You see me. I'm a cis white dude, just like you, and they don't treat me the way that they treat you. I don't think it has anything to do with our
Thank
gender
God.
identity that they're nice to me and not to you.
Thank God, because they know you, and people that know me treat me
Yeah.
like they treat you.
I
They're
know
not.
you
So I
enough
don't
to know you're
demand respect. I
transphobic.
command it. Yeah, you can call me anything you want. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
No,
because
you
I know
have
the truth.
proven it. I'm basing that
I
off
don't
of
care
your
what
actions.
you think. It's subjective. Your opinion is your opinion.
No,
I don't know,
saying
man.
that a
You
trans
act
person
like you care
is
what we think.
objectively transphobic.
I'm just trying to express to you that there are better ways than what you're doing to me to get
No.
people educated.
See, the problem is, at the end of the day,
there's a problem.
my anger and my sassiness was justified because you are just a big old fucking transphobe.
Yeah, I'm a transphobe. I fear trans people.
You literally proved it with your
The,
actions.
the root of the word phobia relating to fear does not necessarily like have a complete grip on what
understand
the
the
word
definition, Oscar.
transphobic.
You don't
Right,
have
but
to do that.
you're exploiting the fact that the word means fear to be like, oh, I'm
I
not
did
like
on
literally
purpose.
cowering in fear about the trans people. It's like
I
no,
did
but
it on
like
purpose. I did on purpose to be ridiculous as they are.
yeah, well,
As they are.
but you're being
That's hilarious.
Oh,
Hey,
Raven, you got a flag. I don't know what for. Goodbye, Raven. Raven will be back tomorrow or something.
Oh man,
It happens.
so let me restructure myself because I'm only matching the energy of Raven while she claims to not be that way, and I apologize for any of that. It's not in my core.
Awfully
and in
polite
my
token, awfully polite tone that you've taken since Raven left the call. But yeah, what do
I
you have
just
to say?
explained why. I just explained why, and you'll turn that into transphobia, and it's matching her energy.
I mean,
not mine.
I'm levying exactly the same accusations against you as Raven has. What's
But
the difference?
you're not being rude and nasty to me like Raven was.
Can you use your social skills to assess a potential reason why Raven might take all this a little bit more personally than I do?
I do, but that doesn't discount the fact that I have to deal with the
It's because
opposite
you
of
don't
that.
value. It's because you don't value the fact that Raven might have that personal connection to this issue that I
Right,
don't.
but
That-
she
that-
doesn't.
The fact that you're
She
not
doesn't value
adjusting,
mine.
the fact that you're not adjusting the way that you talk about is in consideration of that is a demonstration that you don't value the plight of trans people, which I would argue is
I
a demonstration
value
of your
the plight-
transphobia.
I do value the plight of trans people. She doesn't value my plight.
What do you want life to be like for trans people?
I would like them to live their lives, and I'd like them to live in truth.
Okay, what does that mean for when they have to decide which bathroom to use?
Well, now you're going to touch on a personal thing because my daughters experienced a bearded man in a dress claiming to be a woman go in their bathroom. It freaked them out. So I don't want to even go down that road.
Oftentimes, I can be a bearded man, sometimes in a dress, and I can't go into any bathroom. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I'm sorry. And in my world, and in my area, everybody, a man, woman, lesbian, trans, dog, everybody's welcome in the men's bathroom. Nobody's going to get hurt.
Okay, I
Now, I don't know
guess.
what it is in like where you live.
Do you actually think it's true that that trans women are generally safe in men's rooms?
I like I said, I can't give you national statistics, but I can tell you in my world and our city, they are welcome everywhere. Nobody cares. And in the men's bathroom, right? The problem is when you have little
interested
girls.
in hearing your hopes and dreams about how nice your neighbors are, dude. Your worldview is
Just
small.
literally asking
My
me
worldview is small. That's why we use data and analyses of these situations.
So I can't argue with the national data if you have it. I can't argue that. I don't have it in front of me.
these four groups, right? We have trans women, we have trans men, people whose gender identity does not match what's socially accepted for their chromosomal sex, and then we have cis men like me and you, and cis women, women with. Okay, my point is, if there's one connection, there's one pair up in this group where the violence happens. Which group is most violence against which of the other groups? Do you know the answer? Are you educated enough about this to know what the obvious answer to that question?
I did actually research.
I'm asking you a very specific question. Which of those four groups is most violent against which of the other four groups?
Can they be against each other?
I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested that you're going to try to get out of it by saying that it's men versus men because it's mostly cis men fighting wars. Which of those groups enacts the most violence against which of the other groups? All right, what's your answer?
Would you just in total, or like in bathrooms?
In general.
In general,
instances of violence.
I think I did some research on that.
Talking about hate crimes, yeah.
I think there is as much. If I did my memory's right on the data I saw, there was as much assault against gays and lesbian as there was trans. So if I had to answer your question, I would say men.
I asked you a specific question about four groups of people.
Men against trans.
Yes, men against usually trans women.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, trans women.
Because the trans individuals makes up two of those four groups. Okay, so you recognize that if we're going to talk about safety, the important thing is to keep trans women away from cis men if we're concerned about safety when we're making rules about who gets to use which bathrooms, right?
And we're talking about physically, correct? Not.
Yeah, I'm not talking about misgendering.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm talking about actual assault.
Right, okay.
So again, if the safety concern exists between cis men and trans women, why would you argue that those two groups that create the most danger, if they're put in the same space, should be in the same place? Because that's what you're arguing for some reason.
Well, I think the ultimate answer to that is we have bathrooms that are a combination of whoever wants to go into those bathrooms.
I agree with you completely, but that's not practical for building. Yeah, right. When we build new buildings, I was at a venue last night. I was at a show last night, and I was amazed because I went to go find the bathroom, and it was like a sink area, and then it was like half a dozen nice single stall bathrooms, and it was just a bathroom for everybody, and I was like, sick, this is awesome, and this is how it should be everywhere. That's too expensive. I think it would be unreasonable to require businesses to make those sorts of changes. So I agree with you about what the policy should be, but when it comes to having segregated bathrooms, especially in situations where it probably makes sense that there are segregated spaces, think locker rooms at the gym is a good example. Like, you can't really fix that by just making it for everybody. I mean, I guess Europe does that, but I don't know. Anyway, that's all a complicated mess. But if we're going to talk about a trans person walking into a business and having to find the bathroom of best fit, all we're saying is that the bathroom of best fit for them is probably the women's room if they're trans.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not even going to dispute the best fit would be there. The thing that I would add to that, not in dispute of that, is that if a trans person, trans woman wants to go into the woman's bathroom, so let's take two different avenues. One is at a club, right? Don't care. Go in the women's bathroom. Don't care. That's a club. You have adult women there. They can handle themselves. They can say what they like and don't like. They can go get help if they need to. Whatever, right? But when you're talking about going into a Walmart or a Target or something like that, where you have little girls in there.
Okay. Wait. Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there because I think I found it. I think I figured it out. Your concern is about children, right?
Mostly.
Okay, so here's what I need you to do, because that sounds really important. I need you to show me some evidence that trans women are at all a danger to children.
Okay, are you talking about physical danger or emotional?
Any fucking. Well, when we were talking earlier.
Why would you laugh at my daughters? Why would you laugh at my daughters and then expect?
Because a moment ago we specified that it was physical danger because you don't care about the emotional suffering of trans women, and now you care about the emotional suffering of your daughter because you're a hypocrite. So that's why.
No, I'm not a hypocrite.
Ezra,
I care about
did
both.
I read your mind? Is that why you were laughing, Ezra? Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're the hypocrites. You're the hypocrites. I care about both. You care about just trans people.
We specified for the first one. You see me? We specified for the first example that I was just going to keep it to physical violence because that made it easier to get to my point.
And then I asked you the question.
Okay, and then for this one, we're going to use the same example so that it's fair the way we're discussing that issue and this issue. So I'm going to again say yes, just physical violence. We can go back and talk about emotional suffering if you want to, but I'd ask you the same question. You need to demonstrate that trans women are a threat to children because you are made uncomfortable by trans women. You made that shit up. That's my accusation against you.
All right. So let me. I did, right? I made it up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. In America, we do not have data on sexual assaults based on what they identify as, right? They don't keep that data, right?
They totally do. They absolutely do.
Okay, well then you can look it up. I'll give you the UK version because when I try to look up America, they don't, right?
The UK has a longer history of the UK has a longer and darker history of persecuting members of the trans community.
Well, it's fine, so but numbers will speak for themselves. So
that's true if they're from scientists, not politicians. But a lot of people, you see me.
You won't let me say it.
Yeah, dude, I'm just trying to say something on my show that I run, which is that I'm just letting you know that a lot of people bring me bad data about trans people from British politicians. That's like a problem in the data that you can find online about trans people because historically British politicians have been very mean to trans people. So I want to make sure that the data is coming from scientists. That's all I'm trying to say.
Scientists don't give data for prison, right? So I will tell you this though, you can look it up yourself and decide for yourself. Don't take me for my word. I could be 1,000% wrong, right? But in the prison system in UK, the sexual assaults of cis men, transgender, and women are significantly out of whack per capita. I mean, like not even close. 60 to 70% trans commit sexual assaults, 13 to 14 on male, 3 to 4 on female, or the females. So you want me to sit and take information like that and go, my daughters are safe. And that's using the physical.
I need a source for that data. What do I Google to find that myself? I'm at Google right now. I'm putting it up on the screen.
Let me see if I have it in my list. Hang on 1 second. Let me just 1 second. Hang on.
Fine. We can also take a moment to welcome Mitri to the panel. Mitri's a new panelist. I'm trusting that they're a friend of Diava's.
I am. I'm one of her biggest mods, actually. But hello.
Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
You are.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi.
We're gonna see if UCME has
here's what I've got, and you can search this. This is what I searched, and I'll read what it says. Are there any statistics about trans people being?
Wait. UCME, what you're looking at? What website is it hosted on?
This was on a search engine Grok.
No, that's not a source. That's AI nonsense. That's not how you get.
That's fine.
So it's not fine. It's really no. It's really important that you understand.
You're not gonna let me say that.
Yeah, because when you Google a complicated search term that maybe demonstrates that you don't understand the type of data that you're looking for, Google will fail to yield results that are like meaningful for your question.
Then debunk it.
But listen, I'm debunking it right now, and you're interrupting me. But the AI at the top and something like Grok or ChatGPT, it will try its darndest to understand your question, even if it's bad, worded vaguely or ambiguously or in some way. Dude, let me talk.
I mean, to your advantage, Grok actually does more to support the trans than the other.
I'm saying that even if it supports what I'm arguing, I still don't trust Grok because it makes up wrong shit based on your bad questions all the time.
Look up your data and then you can express your data.
You made the claim. You're making the claim that trans women present a risk to children in bathrooms. That is an empirical.
I didn't make that claim.
Then what are you arguing?
I made the claim because you forced me to say physical instead of emotional. I care more about the emotional.
You need evidence for either. The only reason I stuck with physical is because we had just gotten done talking about a conversation between men and trans women, which we specified to physical. So I wanted to use the same heuristic for analyzing the other thing because that's the good faith thing to do. But we could have used either. We just started the conversation by talking about physical violence. Again, either way, you're gish galloping by jumping around when it doesn't matter whether we include physical harm or non-physical harm or all of the above. You still need evidence, and a Grok query is not evidence.
Well, then why don't you query it?
Because you're the one who made the claim, so the burden of proof is on you.
But you won't let me read it.
It's not. It's AI. That's not a source. I need a source. I'm asking for a source, and you're giving me what Grok said? No. Go find a study.
All right. The source is committees.co.uk.
Yeah, the British politicians who here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show everybody how fucking prepared I am on this because I'm so sick of talking of this fucking source that I literally have it fucking bookmarked because I have a regular caller.
Another one is sex-matters.org. Another one is canada.ca.
Hold on, that's not the right one.
Another one, WilliamInstitute.law.ucla.
Wait, I have all my good sources on top of all my bad sources. Here we go. This one. You were looking at this one, right? This is a thoroughly debunked article.
That just happened to be the first one, but I gave you 4 more.
Yeah, this is thoroughly debunked. This is a British politician's opinion about this. And if we zoom in right here to this ellipses where it says males to females retained a male pattern regarding criminality, this ellipses, this little ... that they inserted in here, do you see that on your screen? If you go to the original source for that, which is this document.
Yeah, that was violent crimes. That was not pedophilia.
I'm just showing you how bad a source you just brought me. Okay.
Okay, well, I gave you 4 more.
What?
I gave you 4 more.
Okay, yeah, well, I can only talk about one thing at once, so I'm just going to finish destroying this one, which is that if I Control F to where this was actually shown in the original document, what you'll find is that ellipses left out the part that says that me and my panelists are right.
Or what?
That ... conveniently leaves out the part where the actual scientists said that we are right, which is that the pattern of criminality among trans individuals does not meet the burden of the biological sex that they associate with. So, for example, a trans woman who is biologically male. A trans woman who is biologically male because she has a Y chromosome does not exhibit the same type of criminality as a cis male person. That's what that ellipses is hiding in that bad source that I literally warned you before you started looking not to listen to British politicians from the past.
Please go back. You said that they said ... me, and this means that we are right, like right wing or right and correct?
No, the ellipses, I'll put it back up on the screen. When I say we are, I mean we, the panelists talking to you, are correct. This ellipses, this ... conveniently leaves out the part of this finding. They put this bold at the bottom as like, the researchers state, here's their big thing about what the researchers are stating, and they dishonestly left out this ... where in the original source, what the doctors actually say is that what me and Ezra and Mitri and what Raven would be arguing if they were here is correct. So this is a dishonest, wrong piece of... Yeah, that we're correct. So they did this dishonestly.
But that was violent crimes, right?
For example, but yeah, again, you're bringing me the same. Pedophilia. Why is it the same crappy source that everybody brings me first when we talk about this? When there is a mountain of evidence that says you're wrong.
Debunk it. That's fine. I gave you more.
Do you want to do? Do you want to look at another one?
You can look at Williams Institute. This is. You can just write them down and do it on your own time. I don't know that you want to waste time with me.
I will. Okay, Williams Institute. What is it?
Williams Institute Law.ucla.
What's the
Oskar,
article?
I have one I'd like to give to you also that I would like you to look up.
Yeah.
It is called whoismakingthenews.com. And whoismakingthenews.com tracked cases from February 10th of 2023 to May 23rd of 2024. And it was over 10,000. It was 10,885 cases in the database that they were able to gather information for. Out of those 10,885 child SA crimes, whatever they were, 5 of them were transgender.
Okay, and so 10,000, what's that percentage based on the percentage of the less than 1% of trans people in the United States? Well, how's that matter? How's that match up?
10,000 cases.
How much does that, what does that match up per capita?
It would suggest that they are around about 100 times less likely to commit these crimes.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. So that 100 times, my point isn't whether or not they're committing more or less, because I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't believe any of the statistics, right? So I'm okay with saying they don't do it at all. What the fuck did you just say?
Restate what you just said. What did you just say?
I don't believe that all of the statistics or any of the statistics are 100% accurate, right?
Why are you now saying that when the statistics are proving you wrong?
I just said it per capita. It's not as big a gap as what the 10,000 versus 5 are. I'm not backing off from my argument.
But if you calculate the per capita, it shows that the per capita is way smaller still.
So you're saying less than 1% of the United States are trans people, and that 5 is 100 times more likely than the 10,000, right? Is less than that 1%, the same per capita, right? That's what you're trying to present. It's 100 times more.
Well, yeah. So if a member of a population, it represents about 1% of the population, and then if we had one incident per 10,000, that would be what, 1% of 1%. So yeah, you can do the math on what the per capita is, and I didn't do it precisely, but it's about 100 times less.
Yeah, I think I'm coming up with a different figure, but I don't care. That doesn't matter. But here's the point.
You would expect more trans perpetrators if it was equal, is the point. But there aren't that many. I'm not even
saying there's more or less. I'm saying that there is. What you're presenting is there's none. That's what the trans community is presenting. Cis men do it all. Right?
Well, we're not saying it's none. We don't.
If you're a trans person and you're standing in a girl's bathroom where little girls go, just wait. Just wait. Respect others like you want to be respected.
No. If I'm in the restroom and I have to go to the restroom, I go to the restroom. But here's the problem. This is something that I don't understand.
Should the women have to wait? Some women. Sorry for interrupting, but some women, some cis women commit violent crimes. Some cis women perpetrate crimes against children. Sure. Should they also wait?
Everybody does.
Should they also wait?
Wait. No.
If somebody is going to commit the crime, they're not going to wait.
That's fucking crazy. That is ridiculous.
Yes, it is ridiculous.
Because now you take yourself back to the biological needs, right?
What?
So when you make that argument, then you just circle back to the biology. That's where the argument would go.
You're saying
Why
that
would
because
you do that?
what you just argued is that because there is some small amount of crime perpetrated by trans people, we shouldn't let them in the bathroom at the same time as a child.
That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing.
What are you arguing?
I don't want my daughters to be subjected to that, along with the fact that they have to participate in an objective lie that's the actual woman.
So that is exactly what you're arguing. You're saying you don't want trans people in the bathroom at the same time as your daughter, right?
I don't care about anybody else. I care about my daughters.
Then make your daughter go to the bathroom at home.
Yes or no? You want trans people
you go to the bathroom at home.
No, she can go to the bathroom at home. She can get the bladder infection. Do you know it is statistically proven that transgender people,
then she does.
They suffer, shut up please, higher rates of bladder infections and urinary tract infections because of people like you bigot?
You're the bigot.
I'm not a bigot.
You're a contrarian.
Do you know what happens in a woman's restroom? There are stalls, you idiot.
You're a contrarian. Wait a second. I don't care if there's a stall or not.
You're a moron.
Have respect for other people.
I don't have respect for ignorant people.
Of course you don't.
Go crawl back under your rock.
Yeah, you see, I care about my daughters, and you don't give a shit, but you want me to care about you.
I care about your daughter more than you do.
No, you don't. That's a lie.
Trying to pin. Yeah, we're trying to make a data-driven.
That's why people don't want to listen to you.
ucme. We're trying to ucme. We're trying to use data to keep your kids safe, and you're like mad at us. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm mad that she's trying to protect the fact that somebody can say to a woman and go into the same bathroom as my daughter.
Here's something I can tell you for sure.
You leave my daughters out of it. Don't try to indoctrinate my daughters with what you want to be.
You see me. I know you're emotional. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you all hyped up and hysterical.
Well, when you talk about my daughters, you can expect that.
Sir.
Well, we talk about important stuff on this show.
You have family members and people that go to your church that are far more likely to harm your daughter than
that's an irrelevant comment. I know that. I know that.
If I saw them doing anything like that to your daughter, I carry your friend in my purse and they would stop it immediately. I promise you.
I know what you're saying.
See, the difference is you subject her to them. That's your doing. You put her in their pathway. That's why you are inherently more dangerous for your daughter than any trans person.
No, that is an objective lie, number one. Number two is you don't know me. Number three is you can't judge me. I can't judge you.
Well, look, right? I just judged you.
But I will tell you this. No, you will, but you can't. It won't work. Here's the thing. Here's what I tell my trans nephew, right? Respect the girls, respect your sisters, respect everybody.
By the way, that's your niece, you transphobic bitch. That is your niece.
Fuck you, transphobic bitch.
Stop misgendering your
I didn't
niece.
misgender, and it's not my place to know what you call it. It's not my job.
You
don't pay me to do that.
UCME, your terrible arguments would land a lot better if you didn't get so damn triggered on my show. Can you fucking buck the fuck up and grow up about this shit? We're talking about some important shit that we care about. Like, keep a level head, or people aren't gonna fucking listen to you.
No, you care about trans and not my daughters, and y'all have proven that.
Gotta remove UCME. He's been flagged for harassment and bullying. But I was gonna call the show anyway. So thank you guys so much for hopping up, and very nice to meet you, Mitri.
Nice to meet you. Sorry I get feisty, but if you like that, just let me know. And I've been watching you for a while.
No. I mean, I really don't mind it when it has become so earned. And I mean, you know, UCME did a good job proving Raven right about everything that she accused him of earlier in the call. So he'll be back. He's a regular caller, but he gets very triggered. He gets very triggered, and it gets him a bullying flag, and it gets him upset, and he gets to yelling. And it's like, yeah, dude, like, if he understood how radically I care about the safety of his daughter and the fact that I just like see reason about how to actually keep children safe, I think he'd want to give me a hug. But he can't, but he doesn't understand logic and reason, so he's never going to. He feels threatened by the fact that my conclusions are different than his, even though his are so clearly hateful and not driven by data.
100, absolutely.
I wish I was as powerfully militant as you ladies are. I'm just over here going, okay, can I get in sideways and go, hey, why do you really think that? I'm going to try to use some psychological things in here.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got their different take on it, and that's why it's great to have the panelists come up and take different angles on it. Because, like, there's no getting that guy to listen to the fact that I'm just trying to, like, I was even just trying to get him to pin down what his argument was about child safety, and he was so mad that we even mentioned his daughter that he was too triggered to, like, clarify what the fuck he meant. Which, I mean, dude, grow up. Like, are you like, to use the type of language he might use, are you man enough to even have a fucking conversation about the issue? Pardon the misogyny, but I'm clowning on him for it. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
Come on, dude, like, grow up. Like, you see me getting triggered, I actually really care about this stuff. Anyway.
If he's still here, I genuinely care about your daughters and how they experience the world and their safety. But I also, if I have to go into a man's restroom, or maybe your daughters look a little too masculine and they get thrown out of the women's restroom and they can't use it anymore. Like, there's a lot of things that hurt everyone in this situation.
Yeah, they're just not thinking about what the actual consequences of these policies are, which might have something to do with, I think UCME is one of those guests that can't track a hypothetical. Like, it doesn't make sense to him unless it's him, which is why he can only think about his daughter and only gets triggered if it's his daughter, not even his niece apparently, or nephew or whatever. I don't think we ever actually got to ask him if he was misgendering his sibling's child, or if
he slipped at one point and said her or whatever. So I think it was their niece.
Probably.
He said my nephew, and then he said she more than once.
Probably a trans woman we're talking about, a trans girl we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, UCME makes our jobs easy up here. He makes himself look bad. Is there anything either of you want to add before I boot you?
No, thank you so much. I followed Ezra. I followed Raven. I love all of you all. Y'all are amazing. Hello, Diava. But yeah, thank you for having me up, Oskar. I appreciate it. I'm in your comments, so if you need anybody, I'm usually around. So
always happy to have you on. Absolutely. I'll kick you for the algorithm, and the same to you, Mitra. Thanks very much for hopping up, and welcome to the team.
Thank you.
And goodbye. All right, that's the show for the day. If you want to support me for free, you can go to the link tree in my bio and watch the full VODs on YouTube, or keep up with me on Instagram, where I do everything. Or if you're a Facebook user, I am technically on there. If you want to, sick, cool. Thanks for the gifts, everybody. What was that one called? Who was that? Is that Jen sending those? I can't even read the thing. I'm getting so bad. I should thank the donors. I should thank Heather for the $25 that she sent me on Venmo. She said, thanks for holding these conversations. Keep educating. And she did the strong fist emoji. We're trying to educate people like UCME. Anyway, the show is 10 to 12 Central Standard Time here on TikTok Live, so follow me here for that. And that is the plan every day. I've got a few days of work that are going to interfere with that in the month of June, but for the most part, I'm trying to keep consistent on that. And I'm like 10 days running, streaming every single day. So it's going pretty well. Thanks so much for the gifts. Miss Vari, is sending the swan. Thanks, everybody. I totally appreciate it. Those are new gifts too. I like haven't seen those before. What else is new? Trump's IRS case, there's news. I don't know. I'll talk about it in the morning. W in the chat for the mods before I go, because the mod team make this job way, way easier. And then, of course, especially Raven and Ezra and Mitra for hopping up on the panel and making it a little easier to talk about trans issues, because as a cis dude, it's a little uncomfortable for me. So W mods and W Scout for keeping me comfortable during that very uncomfortable conversation. Scout's the cat that was on my desk. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for the hat and mustache. Oh my God, so many hat and mustache. See, now I'm not going to stop the stream while you guys are sending me money. Like, I'm just going to sit here and take it for a moment. Thank you, everybody. I'm trying to quit my job to run this show, and I'm like right there. So the gifts, like, really seriously do like make an enormous difference. So I just got to shout that out. So yeah, all right, I'll get out of here. Thanks, everybody.